500? How do you introduce a man who's 4-0 in bonus picks? How do you introduce a man who had a push yesterday? I never could answer that. So simply, here's Pete Axtell.
Thank you, Bryant. Now that we've had a look at the Cleveland Browns, I want to talk a little about the Oakland Raiders. A lot of people say that Jim Plunkett had a bad day last week, completed 8 passes. I maintain that in Al Davis's conception of football, that's not a bad day. Al has gone back to the days of Darryl LaMonica, the Mad Bomber. He doesn't want a guy to complete 18 out of 21 with the longest one for 12 yards. He wants the constant threat of the deep bomb. And he's got it now with Plunkett. He's got, as he puts it, he doesn't want respect, he wants fear. And he's got fear in the hearts of the opposition. I'd like the Raiders even better today if I knew that Al could get into the Cleveland Stadium and water the field like he does at home. But if he watered it in Cleveland, it wouldn't matter anyway because it would freeze immediately. Nevertheless, I give the Raiders a big shot today. They're one of my 2 bonus picks. I like the Raiders plus 3.5 against the Browns, and I like Atlanta minus 2.5 against Dallas. That brings up the question, what if the Raiders go all the way? And in the locker room, after the Super Bowl, Pete Rozelle has to hand the winning trophy to Al Davis, who has criticized him, made charges against him, and so forth. Well, I think the answer is, when Rozelle hands that trophy toward Al, Lester Hayes will intercept it.
Lester Hayes just might. He's coming off a big week. Last week against Houston, Lester Hayes, 2 sacks and 2 interceptions. And how cold is it in Cleveland? Well, you've heard of bands warming up, right? Well, when the band in Cleveland warms up, the band in Cleveland warms up. By jumping up and down, it is bitter cold, and that's what the Raiders and Browns have to face. Big ball game on tap. We'll be back with you at halftime with highlights. But right now, we're getting set for the kickoff. NFL 80 continues. We go down on the field right after these messages from your local station.
BJ hires.
The championship town. We're going to bring the world championship back to Cleveland where it belongs.
And Channel 3 gives you the best seat in the house as we bring you every Browns game the rest of the year. Plus, highlights and interviews on Action 3 Sports.
You've got a friend.
The Cleveland Browns got here with a great offense behind quarterback Brian Sipe's passing. He threw for 30 touchdowns this year, had one of the great seasons of any quarterback in National Football League history. The Raiders, an interesting contrast. It's been a great defense that's carried them to this AFC divisional playoff game. Last week against Houston, the great Lester Hayes picked off 2, took this one back for a touchdown. Browns got here with offense, the Raiders with defense. And the weather is the 12th man in this game today at Cleveland. Temperature at game time 0. Wind chill this morning 37 degrees below 0. So the weather is a tremendous and awesome presence that is very definitely going to affect play. Good afternoon, everyone, from Cleveland Stadium. I'm Don Crickey with John Brody. John, the Raiders with their defense, the Browns with their offense. But really, when you look back at the outset of the season, it's surprising now how well they did. A lot of people were picking them third in their respective divisions.
Don, I think the reason they're both here is that they both showed that they were contenders, number one, but that they played well in the latter half of the season. Jim Plunkett, first for Oakland, came on and got them all started. Their defense picked it up after he got the momentum rolling. On the other side of the coin, Brian Sipe had one of the great years that's ever been in the National Football League. Statistics only tell a small part of that. So for both these teams to be here when they were picked to be mediocre and last is an accomplishment in itself.
Interesting attitudes on the 2 teams. They're both very loose clubs. Brian Sipe, the Cleveland quarterback, says everybody talks about him being a loose player under pressure. He said, our whole team is a loose team under pressure. We've got guys, they all want the ball when the game's on the line, and the Raiders are always loose. These Pirates come in here ready to take on anybody, anytime, in any condition.
Well, they're going to be a little puckered, I'll tell you, when they come out here. I don't care how loose they were in the locker room, which they were. Their style of personality has not changed. The people have changed greatly. I think the team that keeps their composure and does the things under awful conditions that nobody expects them to do will come out on top, and I don't know who that'll be.
Well, this is the coldest game, coldest playoff game since that famous Dallas-Green Bay game back in '67. It is really something, but a huge crowd is here, and we're just about set to go with the Raiders and the Cleveland Browns.
When a man wears Old Spice, chances are he'll always get a warm reception. No wonder. The clean, fresh, masculine fragrance of Old Spice is a scent that women know and love. So when you're wearing Old Spice, the invitation is clear. It can really spice up your life.
Put a little spice in your life with Old Spice.
By Exxon. We're Exxon, working on energy for you. And by Dodge, with the new 6-passenger Dodge Aries K and the new Ram Tough Dodge pickups and vans. This is it, big game day on NBC. The Cleveland Browns and the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders coming in having already won the AFC wildcard game. They come in with a record now in this season of 12-5. The Cleveland Browns, champions of the tough AFC Central, 11-5. The Browns, called by their owner Art Modell, a team of overachievers under Sam Ratigliano. You very seldom, John, hear any players speak as glowingly about a head coach as do the Cleveland Browns to Sam Ratigliano.
Well, Don, I think he has turned it around so convincingly in such a short period of time. He's the sort of fellow that the bigger the game, the more enthusiastic he is and the more he gets you ready to play it. I don't think he's one of those who concerns himself with worrying about the outcome so much as preparing his group for the game itself. And I'd say on the other side of the coin, Tom Flores does the same thing, and the personality of the two teams is such, I think it's a good indication of why they're here.
Well, Flores has done a great job, too. You don't hear enough about Tom Flores in his second year as the head coach of the Raiders, but in all those great seasons, the Oakland Raiders have had 16 consecutive winning seasons. No team in the National Football League has done that in the history of the league. Flores has been the offensive coordinator. He's planned all the game plans over the years, the recent years, and now he's the head man. The Raiders are ready, you can be sure, and so are the Browns. Wind chill, minus 30-some-odd degrees, 37 at the outset. The up back takes the kickoff. Doesn't get too far with it. Todd Christensen got the ball. Got across the 30-yard line to about the 31. So Jimmy Plunkett now comes out to quarterback the Raiders with Kenny King and Mark Van Eeghen. He'll be a big factor in this game, the runners. Cliff Branch and Bob Chandler, the wide receivers. Raymond Chester, the tight end. The great offensive line of the Raiders. Art Shell and Gene Upshaw on the left side. Dave Dalby at center. Nicky Marvin and Henry Lawrence on the right side. The Raiders set to go. First play from scrimmage. And they are starting up early in Cleveland. An unbelievable following of the Cleveland Browns. It's rejuvenated this city, picked up the whole community. The Browns are the heroes of Cleveland, and right now the Brown defense doesn't give much up, nor does the playing field, which is rock hard. As the Raiders go to Mark Van Eeghen, and he got ahead for maybe a yard. See where they have it spotted. He got to about the line of scrimmage. Cleveland young on the defensive line except for Alzado. Marshall Harris and Henry Bradley, the nose tackle. Along with Alzado, good linebackers in Charlie Hall, Robert L. Jackson, Dick Ambrose, and Clay Matthews. Bolton had a great year at the left corner. Burrell's a young player out of LSU. They liked him a lot. Darden and Scott, the safeties, experienced and good. Second down and overnight. Plunkett stands in, lets it go long, and Jim Plunkett wasn't anywhere close to his intended receiver. He was looking at Kenny King coming out of the backfield.
Don, I think you're going to see an awful lot of things change throughout the course of the game as the players realize how good their footing is, or on the other side of the coin, how poor it is. The type of patterns you're going to see run are the type that don't take a lot of movement, not a lot of pattern running, anything where a guy gets going in one direction, across the flow, keep the defensive backs making their movements as sharply as possible, because you're not going to have any footing. That's all there is to it.
They had the field covered, but when it came off, the wind whipped down and killed it into a rock-hard playing surface. On third down and 9, Plunkett takes a deep look, goes way over Chandler, and as the ball came overhead, Ron Bolton put a slug on Bobby Chandler. Al Davis told us early, John, that he got Bob Chandler for one big reason. He's a cold-weather player from his years at Buffalo. He catches it in cold weather, but not one like this. It's too high.
He's one of the few fellas, I think, who will run his patterns better than most players will. They're going to double on Branch. They don't want to let him loose. It's going to be very hard executing all day long. You're going to see Bob Chandler in a position to catch a lot of balls. It's getting the execution done that'll be the tough part. On the other side of the coin, Cleveland's got their work cut out for them, too, because they got to this playoff because they put the ball up in the air. And the conditions today do not indicate that.
Well, now we're going to have a punt from the Oakland Raiders' Ray Guy. Snap's good. He gets off a punt, doesn't carry too deep. It's going to be taken by Keith Wright. Crosses the 30. He's caught. Ball is blown dead at the 30-yard line. There's going to be some turnovers. You can count on that. Ray Guy with that absolutely unbelievable punting day against Houston in the wild card game, and he kicked 9 for an average of over 51 yards, kicked that one 44. Brian Sipe, the #1 quarterback this season in the NFL at quarterback. Mike Pruitt, a big back from Purdue, and Calvin Hill, the veteran, will be the starting runners for the Browns. Dave Logan, Reggie Rucker, and Ozzie Newsome, all with over 50 receptions, the receivers. Good offensive line. They don't let Sipe get hurt very often. Eeghen, Shepard, DeLeo, and Delamalier. And Cody Rison. Cleveland with its first possession. First down and 10 for the Browns at their 30. Sipe goes right after the deep throw, and he's going to Logan. Screened off the ball by Dwayne Osteen. So the Browns come out pitching. As you were pointing out, John, they got here throwing the ball, and Sipe's ready to go despite the weather.
I don't think there's going to be any change of the way they attack, whether or not they throw the ball a lot. They will throw the ball an awful lot because Oakland would love to have a team running the ball on 1st and 10 because guys like Matusik, Kinlaw, you name it, those down linemen have been very strong against the run all year. They've shut teams down to 40 yards a game less than they did last year.
There's the defensive secondary. The Raiders have intercepted more than any team in the NFL. They have 35 interceptions as a team. On 2nd and 10, Calvin Hill gets the call, and the big back from Yale takes it straight ahead to the 35-yard line. A gain of 4 yards on the play. Be 2nd down at 6. Dave Browning made the knockdown, defensive right end. But Tuzak, Kinlaw, and Browning across the defensive front of Oakland.
Don, the offensive line of Cleveland has 3 players going to the Pro Bowl. They match up very well against Oakland's defensive front 4. And if you don't handle them at the line of scrimmage, they will dictate the outcome of a football game as they did last week against Houston.
3rd down and about 5 for Cleveland. Ball just across their 35-yard line. There's no score early in the first quarter. Sipe stands in, sets up, gets time, puts it out there, and a free ball is in the secondary, incomplete. Came into Calvin Hill, and that ball was skirting free in the secondary.
Don, you'll notice Calvin Hill was a ball carrier on the 2nd play of the game, an intended pass receiver on 3rd down. They've started him today for the first time all year for 2 reasons. 1, so he can protect Brian Sipe. Number 2, so he can run pass routes. He'll carry the ball a little bit, but he's in there because this is going to be a day, in their opinion, they want the experience. They want the guy that is not going to let someone free on Brian Sipe.
Now back to receive the punt, Keith Moody for the Oakland Raiders. Johnny Evans into punt for the Browns, hits the ball at his 25. Looks like somebody got a piece of it. It goes downfield, takes a Cleveland roll though. Going to hop out inside the 30-yard line, roll down to the 28. And there, the Raiders will go on offense for a 2nd time in this playoff game. Johnny Evans, a 39-yard per punt man throughout this season for Cleveland. Sam Ratigliano was particularly concerned about Evans' counterpart, Ray Guy, in his kicking game. We'll be back at Cleveland in a moment.
Light beer, Mr. Bonaconti.
And I switched to Natural Light. You switched from that other light beer? Yeah, I think Natural Light's got the taste that leaves them all in the backfield. You bet, and there's nothing artificial in this less-filling beer. It's made with only natural ingredients.
The real point is taste. Besides, since I switched to Natural Light, I'm making a name for myself.
Hey, Nick Bonaconti! Hey. Where? I know him.
Natural Light. Taste is why you'll switch. Is the Energizer just another battery? Is the Indy 500 just another race? The Energizer from Everready Technology. Of all leading brands, nothing outlasts, nothing outperforms the Energizer. Everready made sure. Your photo flash, calculator, toy, they'll tell you. Energize me. Energizer. Energize. For life. Long life.
With John Brody, this is Don Criqui back at Cleveland Stadium. The sun is out, but the wind chill has the temperature on the playing field at minus 30 degrees. The Oakland Raiders have the ball for the 2nd time. 1st and 10. Plunkett hands off, goes to Van Eeghen. And Van Eeghen, one of the quickest fullbacks in the league at hitting the hole, as offensive lineman will tell you, has a hard time driving ahead on a frozen playing surface. Marshall Harris, the left end for the Browns, knocked him down. So the Raiders come up with 2nd and 9.
Anybody that's quick hitting the line today is going to get a check. I don't think that anyone's going to be too quick. Just getting off in the snap of the ball, making sure your footing's okay, will give you a chance to take advantage of someone else who might fall, and that's what's going to dictate the breaks.
Second and over 9. Bob Chandler comes wide to the right. Cliff Branch to the left. Swing pass goes to Kenny King. And King of the Raiders loses the ball as he goes out of bounds. Along either sideline, it is sheer, hard-packed ice where the tarp wasn't covering, and there's portions of the playing field that have some ice on it. Froze up once the tarp came off. It is a tough track.
You'll notice Cleveland is going to make Jim Plunkett throw it off to his backs. It's something he doesn't do very often. When he does, they are very effective. He's just not geared to be one of those nickel and dime type quarterbacks. They try to attack a defense. Cleveland's not going to allow him to do that. You'll see them in no man-to-man situations early. He's got to come off to his backs and hope something good happens.
Arthur Whittington is now in the backfield of Oakland, along with Van Eeghen. Third down and 5 for the Raiders. Plunkett lets her go long. Chandler going for the ball. It's intercepted by Cleveland's Ron Bolton. He was their leading interceptor this year. That was his 7th, so the Browns get the first turnover. Although Chandler fought him for the ball all the way down, but Ron Bolton gets the interception here. Watch it again, John.
I'll tell you, Don, that was as good as a punt. Very few people can punt the ball that far as Jim just threw it. Obviously, it's always fun to intercept the ball. You gear yourself down as a defensive secondary player to pick up anything that comes in your area. Ron Bolton on that particular occasion was 15 yards back of the line of scrimmage.
When high interest rates keep America from buying the fuel-efficient cars it needs, it's time to do something about it. Starting now, when you buy a new U.S.-built 81 Chrysler, Plymouth, or Dodge passenger car on credit, you can deduct 7% from the sticker price, including options, because we think the interest rates are 7% too high. That number will move up or down depending on a significant change in the prime interest rate. Make your best deal, then get $380 to $1,200 direct from Chrysler. We'll help you buy the car you want.
The new Bic roller feels so smooth you don't just write, you go with the flow.
Come on, Jackson, let's take a shower. Hey, don't rush me. I'm going with the flow.
I can't write a fan letter to the Bee Gees with a pen that mushes down.
Get with it, sister. Go with the flow.
The new Bic roller lets you go with the flow and go, because our point won't turn to mush no matter how hard you push.
We've done it.
We've taught Herman to go with the flow.
The Bic roller, go with the flow.
On Monday, meet God.
Not what you expected, huh?
John Denver and George Burns star in the comedy hit Oh God, Monday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
Here is Ron Bolton's interception, and the Browns have their second possession. They'll start from their 27-yard line.
Again, it was an attempt to attack a defensive man playing one-on-one with Bob Chandler. You have to try that, but it was a hook and go. Bolton was buying none of it. Way beyond Chandler when the ball was in the air.
Ron Bolton, the only guy that's caught a ball so far today. Here's a handoff on the first down from scrimmage, and driving straight ahead is the big Purdue fullback Mike Pruitt. Over 1,000 yards rushing again this year. 4.2 a carry. And he was best leading receiver for Cleveland, 63 receptions.
And that still misses his most important ingredient, his ability to get all the assignments correct, the ability to block for Brian Sipe. That's how he originally got into the starting lineup, as a blocker for Greg Pruitt. He came on so well, ran the ball so well, that he's become a mainstay.
Brian Sipe and Mike Pruitt both really developed as football players when Sam Ratigliano came in here. They've been the keys on offense. Here's a handoff. Again, they go to Pruitt on a second down and 6 carry. Pruitt takes the ball out to the 34-yard line. John, we were talking about how nobody was looking for these teams at the outset of the season to make the playoffs. And even when the season began, it didn't look that way. They both lost 3 of their first 5.
That's right. However, the whole personality of Oakland changed at mid-season. Their defense, that's a very young defense. And contrary to what a lot of people think of, in the transition that's taken place in Oakland, a lot of the insurgence of new players has been defensively, and they have played so well. The guys like Lester Hayes, Matt Millen, a fellow that they thought was in between a linebacker and a defensive lineman, he's come on, they've let him do what he does best, and they've just come up with an amazing defense.
Now it's third down and about 3 for the Cleveland Browns. No score in the first quarter. They go to Pruitt. Raiders don't get much. He had to drive the ball out to the 37-yard line, and we'll see if he got there as they unpile. John, what about the football in playing conditions like this? Is it hard enough?
They could play without it. I mean, it's very hard to hang on to, obviously. Now, it's like a brick in certain conditions, and they will try to throw the ball around because Cleveland has to do that. They've got a first down. Excellent offensive line search got them that. Right now, when Sipe can throw a little screen, if he can run some draws, anything that's misdirection, Don't make anybody change their own direction, but get the defense to change theirs. Sipe is a master at dinking and donking the ball around the infield, and if there's an edge, he might have it.
That was our first down of the game. Brian Sipe sets down the Cleveland Browns at their 37. No score in the first quarter. Sipe sets up, looking long, guns it over the middle, and Dave Logan had the ball and lost it. Now, Logan's one of the most sure-handed players in the league. You saw he was unable to take it.
Don, you can't catch the ball in your hands. The ball is too hard. It feels like a frozen puck to any wide receiver at this time. If they can catch the ball in their body, they're okay. Now, this fella his whole personality is to catch the ball in his hands. Rather than put his hands out after the ball, he's got gloves on. He's trying to make sure he can cradle the ball. It hits him in the stomach, coming a little harder than he hoped. They have to rehuddle.
Second down and 10. Brian Sipe comes into this game completing over 61% of his throws for over 4,100 yards, 30 touchdown throws, and he was only intercepted 14 times. He graded out as the #1 quarterback in the league, and he'll start for the AFC in the Pro Bowl. Handoff, but Mike Pruitt, coming out of his three-point, lost his footing, goes down to the 36-yard line. He'll be third and about 12.
Reggie Kinlaw, a fellow from Oklahoma. Here's another young standout defensive lineman for the Raiders. He's taken that middle, handling it very well. Now, in order for anybody to do well, if you're a Cleveland offensive football player, you know you've got to handle the middle. It's Dalby's problem on when the Raiders are on offense. It's DeLeon's problem when the Browns are on offense.
Ted Hendricks, Matt Millen, Bob Nelson, Rod Martin, the linebackers for the Raiders. Actually, two of the linebackers, Hendricks and Millen, are biggest defensive linemen. Sipe on 3rd and 12, swings it out. Calvin Hill makes the turn, but Millen catches him, the rookie from Penn State. He's the biggest linebacker in the league from a weight standpoint, 260, and next to him is Hendricks, who's the tallest at 6'7".
Don, and the concern about Millen is that can he cover anyone on pass routes? That time in a 3rd down situation, they left him in the ball game. He covers Calvin Hill from the middle of the field all the way to the sideline. He's in a one-on-one situation, covers him very well, forces him to the sideline, and makes the tackle.
But the Browns come up way short, and so they will go back to the punt now. Johnny Evans to hit the ball standing at this 26-yard line. Keith Moody is back all alone at the 20-yard line of the Raiders. Good snap by Sullivan. End-over-end kick. It'll be tough to field, and it takes again a Cleveland bounce. Well, that one had legs on it. Down to the 9. Moody picks it up, but the Browns sweep him under. So the Raiders start out for a 3rd time, but in a hole.
There's something. They're giving the punter just a little bit too much credit. It's a 50-yard punt. Should have been caught for a 30-yard stop. That's a very important phase of this game. Get up there and catch that ball before it hits the ground, because if you don't, you might find yourself 1st and 10 inside your own 10.
Back and set to go at Cleveland. On Frigid with John Brody. Oakland Raiders with their 3rd possession. So far, no one has been close to the end zone. The Raiders are now, but to their own. They're backed up to their 11 after the punt. Browns shut down the run. Van Eeghen tries to go straight ahead, and Dick Ambrose fills the gap nicely.
Ambrose filled the gap, but they're running at Lyle Alzado, something they don't really want to do. But their plus point over the years has been Art Shell and Gene Upshaw. Alzado mentioned early before the ball game that whenever I play against Shell and Upshaw, I'm not the same for 3 weeks. He said, I don't know what effect it has on them, but I do know how it handles me.
It's a war down there. Upshaw in his 13th year has never missed a game. He's playing in his 205th consecutive game. Handoff. Kenny King, and the Browns don't give him a thing. Browns have done well all season stopping the run.
We're taking a look at Dick Ambrose. Sam Bogosian said they've got some fine linebackers, but the guy that holds them all together is Ambrose. He's always in the wrong spot if you're offensively minded. He's always sitting where your ball carrier is trying to run the ball. He's been underrated for a long period of time. Maybe that's why they're so good against the run.
Ambrose has been underrated for a long time. Came out of Virginia as a 12th round draft choice back in '75, and he's been a consistent, very, very valuable player to the Cleveland defensive effort all these seasons. Now in his 6th year. Plunkett on 3rd down and 7, throws. He's got a man open, and then he loses the ball. Clay Matthews was there to hit Kenny King just as it came in.
Okay, Plunkett's thrown the ball pretty well on 3rd down occasions twice. However, it's just as hard to handle as it is to get the ball there. Doesn't seem like either team is willing to suck it up and run the ball, hoping for a turnover. They both know they've got to create something. It's a healthy viewpoint, but very tough to execute.
Well, the the Browns defense holds again. It was a defense that gave up more yards than any defense in the AFC, but it didn't give up a lot of points.
Again, let's check the punt returners. They're giving Ray Guy an awful lot of credit when the ball is as cold as it is. They're both playing 40 to 45 yards from the line of scrimmage. Under normal conditions, I can understand it, but they better get somebody up a little closer to pick off the short one.
The winner of this game will, of course, be going to San Diego to play the Chargers next Sunday in the AFC Championship game here on NBC. Here is the punt. Ray Guy hits it well down the field. Dino Hall fields it back at his 40. Makes the turn to the 45, and Dino Hall, not big but very quick, takes the ball up the far sideline. And the Browns start out with their best initial field position of any of their drives, a 46-yard punt, a 7-yard return by Dino Hall. So with the wind chill in the minus 30s, we'll be returning to Cleveland Stadium after this.
Allstate.
1980 was the first divisional title year for the Cleveland Browns in 71. This is their first playoff team since 72 when they went as a wild card. But it's been a storied tradition. Football in Cleveland, a hallmark franchise in the NFL. The great teams, the Motley and Otto Graham teams. And this stadium has been the site of some of the great games in the history of the league. Great championship games. Now with no score on the board, Brian Sipe takes a long look. He's looking at Dave Logan. Logan had the ball and lost it. With 6:48 to play in the first quarter, the Browns try to strike deep and almost succeed.
Well, Don, you see, catching a football is just part of a movement. It's not a conscious thought to catch the football. You do that, it's automatic. All the intention is on a way to run your pattern and get open. Today, the game changes. You've got to put all your attention on catching the football. It's not so hard to get open because everybody's slipping and sliding out there. But when that ball gets in your area, to hang on to it is a problem.
A real problem. And it's not going to get any better. The Browns now come out 2nd down and 10. First team that gets in the end zone might have won the game when this one is finally decided.
Well, I think the players are getting more accustomed to it than less, and that surprises me.
Sipe throws long again. Calvin Hill is out there, and the ball literally bounced off the helmet of Rod Martin. Calvin Hill, what a story he is. Came to Cleveland in '78 as a free agent after his great seasons with Dallas and Washington.
And we mentioned he runs about as precise a route as any back going down the pike. They got him because they knew he was a very experienced, good blocking, good receiving halfback. And when you have a guy like Brian Sipe, to have a halfback like Calvin Hill is something you just can't replace. When you catch 50 balls as a halfback, you know you've helped some.
Calvin Hill has been a great one. 6 touchdown receptions this year for the Browns. They call him the pinch hitter. He comes in and hits the home run for him, making those receptions. 3rd down and 10. Sipe's only completed 1 of 6. Look at the interception by the great Lester Hayes. The man's a phenomenal football player. Lester Hayes with his 16th interception of this season. He had 2 last week and 13 in the regular season, and he had 4 other ones that were negated by penalties.
Don, when you see Lester Hayes, he's playing bump and run. Now, if you're a quarterback, you say, hey, he's playing bump and run all over the field. I've got to be able to get to Reggie Rucker. He's got him one-on-one all over the field. He might even fall down. Lester Hayes intimidates people. It's why he's gained 13 interceptions this year, is because teams are reluctant to let him get away with that. However, he's winning at his own game, having the greatest year of any cornerback for several years. He and Hendricks have been so outstanding, the Raiders have just gone with him.
Well, they challenged Lester Hayes, and they came up empty, and now the Raiders have the ball back. An interception each way so far in the game, and a 1st and 10 play. Robert L. Jackson comes in and makes the stop on Kenny King. You remember Ron Bolton had the interception earlier. Game clock down to 6:20 to play in the first quarter. No score on the board or anything close to it so far.
You see King running back to the huddle almost as hard as he ran to the line of scrimmage. I tell you, they're trying to stay warm, trying to pump themselves up, trying to convince themselves it's not cold out there, and it's a hard thing to do.
They trucked some heated benches in from Philadelphia. That's only mild help, though, in these conditions. It's now 2nd down and 7, and the Browns shut down the run. They go back to Kenny King, the Oklahoma runner. They had a 4.4 per carry average this season. Knocked down by Charlie Hall.
You know what you might think looking into this ball game? You say, boy, this really has to hurt Brian Sipe and his offense. I think it helps their defense more than it hurts Brian's offense. What is Cleveland? They're good against the run, extremely suspect against the pass. They've allowed 3,800 yards plus, but when it comes to somebody running over the top of, nobody's had success doing it.
They stopped the long pass and they stopped the run. Marshall Harris, no flag is down, though. He got back in time, apparently. Plunkett going long. Cliff Branch is out there. Through his arm. Branch had a step on the defender, Clinton Burrell. And the Raiders almost hit the big one.
Both these quarterbacks have fired the ball very well. When you can throw the ball accurately at 40 yards, the wind doesn't seem to be as much of a factor as it was at kickoff time. You know you can throw it. Hanging on again is the problem.
Right now, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
WKYC TV3 live in the Browns locker room after the game.
With John Brody, this is Don Crickey. Mike Adamle also with us here at Cleveland Stadium for this AFC playoff game. The Oakland Raiders and the Cleveland Browns scoreless in the first quarter. 5:14 to play in it. As the Raiders punt again. Ray Guy didn't get this one downfield too far, but they're all so tough to handle, and the Browns won't challenge the ball. They'll let it roll dead, and it goes down at about the 30-yard line of Cleveland. All of America felt their heartbreak at Lake Placid, but now Ty Babyloni and Randy Gardner compete again, joined by Peggy Fleming, Linda Fradiani, and Dorothy Hamill in the first World Professional Figure Skating Championship, starting January 18th on NBC Sports World. Plus the hilarious antics and basketball wizardry of Meadowlark Levin and the Bucketeers, all on the season premiere of NBC Sports World, January 18th. 5:05 to go in the first quarter. The Browns with the ball again, this time starting out at their 30. That was only a 31-yard punt by Ray Guy.
He got a bad bounce, though. It could have gone right down inside the 10. Nobody was there to field it.
Actually hopped back toward the Raiders. Sipe on first down, looking long. Man is out there. Reggie Rucker had his fingertips on the ball. So we've had a lot of near misses in the game as both quarterbacks challenging deep, despite playing conditions with temperatures minus 30 chill factor.
And who were they challenging? They're challenging Lester Hayes. He just comes up with an interception. The next time they get the ball, they say, let's have one more go at Lester. If he wants to get his 15th of the year, let him try. We think we can beat him. And a lot of receivers do beat Lester Hayes. It's just that he beats them on occasion, too.
Actually, Lester, John, his next one's going to be his 17th now after what he's done in the playoffs. He has 3 already in the playoffs. To go with his 13 in the regular season. What a year.
About 6 drops and 4 called back, too.
Actually had a 95-yard interception return for a touchdown against Miami, negated by a penalty. On 2nd and 10, Cleveland goes to the run, and behind Delano Lear and Cody Rison, Mike Pruitt rockets ahead across the 35-yard line, got the ball close to the 37. So there's a gain on the play of about 7 yards.
It's really the best offensive running play we've seen so far today. There has just been almost no offensive movement. When you have no footing, to get a defensive lineman on your shoulder and move him backwards is a very tough thing to do.
Well, those linemen, John, knew they were in for a bad day when they came out to warm up, got down in the 3-point, took off and fell flat in their face.
Right. The 2-point stance may come into vogue before this game's over.
3rd down and 3 for Cleveland. Brian Sipe goes to the draw. Pruitt working hard, but the Raiders seem to knock him down just short of a first down. It'll be a yard or so short, brings up 4th down, and with that down comes punter Johnny Evans. Matt Millen made the knockdown.
Mentioned draws and screens early. The problem with draws right at this time is that the linebackers are not respecting throw. If you don't respect throw, you can't get those linebackers out of the hole.
We've only had 1 first down in this game so far. 3:49 left to go in the first quarter.
The big phase of the game so far has been the handling of the punts. And not only by the defense, but also from center to kicker.
Keith Moody is back for the Raiders. Line drive downfield, but again it takes a Cleveland roll, and Moody won't fool with it. So Johnny Evans hit that thing about 8 feet in the air, but on the frozen turf it kept on walking and goes on inside the 30. A 34-yard punt as it ended up.
Not bad, it was net.
That's right, no return. Brian Sipe being attended to, or attending to himself on the sidelines. A lot of the players were wearing scuba diver gloves coming out. Keith Wright, one of the return men for Cleveland, was catching the ball very well before the game with him. Other ones had on those golf clubs. They came off quickly. Most of them seem to be going to nothing or the scuba dive. Right now it's going to be 1st down and 10 for Oakland. Handoff goes. Kenny King breaks it, gets across the 30 and out to the 32-yard line. So the Raiders come out with a slant run. And King does well. Clarence Scott, the strong safety, made the knockdown. Kenny King, one of those Houston Oilers who came to Oakland.
I'm waiting for something to break, Don. I know it's very difficult to move the ball as we see Kenny King pick up a 6-yard gain, which is a pretty good 1st and 10. I think something's about to break. Very few defenders have fallen down, and the receivers are having all the problems at the moment. I don't think that'll last.
It's 2nd down and 5. Raiders try to run again, and nothing's there. They've had 1 interception for each side. Ron Bolton picked one off for Cleveland. Lester Hayes got one for Oakland. No fumbles yet, though, but there's going to be some, you can be sure.
If there aren't, it'll be a surprise to everyone. Looks like a jump center in the middle of the line. Everybody standing straight up. Very difficult to make movement anyway.
Bob Chandler comes out wide right now. Cliff Branch, who went deep and almost made a connection earlier, is wide left on a 3rd down and 3 play. Plunkett looking at Chandler. Now throws over the middle to his tight end, and the ball is caught and lost. Raymond Chester had it at the 42-yard line and lost it. Tom Darden popped in the free safety, 27.
All right, Tom Darden hasn't had a lot of action all year because people have not tried to pick on him. The personality of Oakland is to throw the ball deep. They haven't done an awful lot of it except on the outsides all day long. They get Raymond Chester open. Plunkett finds a way to get him the ball. But any contact that's made as the ball gets there, you can't grab a handle. There's no way to keep that ball when you're hit.
No way at all. Now they put back 2 punt returners, Dino Hall and Keith Wright. Ray Guy set himself up at his 20. The footing's so tough. Moving into the ball just to strike it. Browns came close to a block. Wright takes it in those scuba diver gloves back of the 20. And here he comes upfield. He's got a chance. He strikes Racing. Finally knocked down the 39-yard line. Wright had beaten that last man. He'd have gone a long, long way. As it was, he returned to 19 yards. 1:55 left to play in the 1st quarter.
They get everybody caught, Don, coming straight up the middle. They just sealed off a little bit to the outside. Wright's trying to find a hole. Can't find it quite well enough. 46-yard punt, 19-yard return. Derek Jensen finally made the play.
Keith Wright had to be helped off the field after the play. You're playing on concrete out there today. 1:55 to go in the 1st quarter. No score on the board. The Browns, champions of the AFC Central, line up again. 1st and 10 at their 40. 2 wide receivers set to the right. 2 big backs behind Sipe, Pruitt and Calvin Hill. Sipe takes a look, throws over the middle, and Reggie Rucker makes the big play for the Cleveland Browns down to the Oakland 40.
Again, Don, we mentioned I'm expecting something to happen offensively because I'm surprised the quarterback has not had the problem holding onto the ball and delivering it that the receiver has, catching it and holding on. And when the quarterback can throw it throughout the period of the day, the receivers will find a way to get their hands on it and keep containment. Both quarterbacks have thrown the ball pretty well. Sipe is not having any problem with his grip, and if you don't have a problem with your grip and you can get back and set up, you can find a receiver.
Well, that was the biggest offensive gain of the day, a 20-yard completion. Now, the Browns go to the run, and Pruitt takes it off tackle inside the 40 down to the 38-yard line. Don Cockcroft, the kicker for Cleveland, playing in his 6th playoff year. 13-year veteran was talking about kicking conditions on a field like this. He said one thing is you don't get the long field goal. The ball doesn't travel far.
No, it won't. You'll notice on the punts, those balls are going 12 yards sometimes and starting to run. Ray Guy kicked 2 over 40 yards, and those are horrendous boots in this weather.
What we've seen so far, the best way to get there to the end zone is to throw the ball because the runners haven't gotten much. I think 2nd down and 7 now. Sipe takes a look, swings it out. Ozzie Newsome, the tight end, takes the ball down at the 32-yard line, and he's very close to a 1st down in a 2nd and 8 play.
We'll notice a little bit later how Brian Sipe's drop has changed a little bit. He is really oozing back into his throwing area. The footing is a little bit difficult, but the receiver can get open. You can see Rod Martin standing still. It's pretty hard for him to get any traction. Ozzie Newsome runs a quick pattern, gets the ball to him. Simple little pattern to run, easy to hit, hard to hold on.
Big Ozzie Newsome, the 3rd-year tight end from Alabama. The man Bear Bryant called the greatest catcher we ever had at Alabama. Sipe spreads the work around. Rucker, Logan, Newsome all with over 50 catches, and Mike Pruitt Bob Nelson, and the Browns drive on.
They went right over their own strength. DeLeon, Shepard, DeLamalure, those three fellas have been pretty good for quite a while. Got good surge on 3rd and 1. 7 seconds left in the quarter. I think this is the last play. They're trying to get one off.
Right on 1st down, looking to the end zone. Rucker's out there. Touchdown! He lost the ball. Reggie Rucker had his hands on it and lost it going out of the end zone.
He almost lost himself. He went right in the dugout. Looks like Osteen's trying to help him out. Tell you, we mentioned the throwers have had good grips on the ball. They put the ball where it has to be thrown if it's going to be caught. Rucker made a fine pattern, just didn't come down with the ball.
When I was coaching, I was the boss. I used to feed them, dress them, get them to bed on time. Now I treat them to our favorite beer, right?
Light beer from Miller.
Light's got a 1/3 less calories than the regular beer. And what else?
It's less filling, Red.
And they really like the taste. Another beer, anyone?
Yeah, do it.
What's the magic word? Please.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Back at cold Cleveland. We're ready to start the 2nd quarter of play. The Browns mounting a threat now. They have 2nd down and 10 inside the Raider 30-yard line. No score on the board. Brian Sipe takes a look over. Might have checked off. 2 wide receivers set left. Raiders up and tight and ready to bump and run. On 2nd and 10, a throw deep. Ozzie Newsome heading for the end zone with the ball, as you see, comes in high. Strong safety Mike Davis running with him for Oakland.
Don, again, a crossing pattern. They're putting Mike Davis in an awful bind. They're leaving a free safety back there for Oakland is. But when you have to cover Ozzie Newsome all over the field, if he finds any segment of that field where he can get a little bit of footing, and the players are getting a pretty good feel of that situation now. In the middle of the field, there are places where you can plant and break away from a defensive back. That's an awful tough assignment. They've tried to come to Newsome a couple times, haven't been successful yet, but they're going to keep going at it.
Yeah,
2 for 6 on 3rd down. It's now 3rd and 10.
At the 29. Sipe, well attended to again. Has time, throws, incomplete. Ted Hendricks was back there. Knocked down Greg Pruitt, who came into the game. Coming out of the backfield was the antenna receiver. Pruitt in for the first time. Greg Pruitt.
They threw to Greg Pruitt because on the other side, Lester Hayes did an excellent job on Logan. They wanted to go down the field, and the Raiders are playing a man-to-man. Most all over the field right now. They just have to get one person free. They haven't been able to do it.
Cleveland coaches said you assessing the Raiders on film, their defense isn't complicated. It just executes so well.
Cockcroft is going to earn his salary if he slips this one in from 47.5, 48 yards. Just like kicking a 55-yarder.
The inability to throw and catch the ball in this cold weather has been a story so far, and also to kick it as Cockcroft, a sure-footed kicker, drives the ball into the end zone, but it doesn't come anywhere close to going through the uprights, and so the first scoring attempt from the placement comes up way empty, and with 14:44 left to play in the first half, we'll be back to Cleveland in a moment. This is Don Quickie with John Brody back at Cleveland. The Raiders haven't made a first down in this game yet.
And there hasn't been a penalty called throughout the whole first quarter. That's a rarity.
That's right. There's not been any penalties. Plunkett on first down throws, and there's a connection. Receiver taking it right in his chest. Raymond Chester gets ahead to the 40-yard line, and the Raiders all of a sudden have their first down of the game. Robert L. Jackson on the knockdown.
Pattern, you very rarely see Raymond Chester run. It looks like he's going to go down the field and make a turn. He goes down the field and stops. He's right in between the 2 linebackers. Just as he stopped, Plunkett got him the ball. That's why it looks like he's so wide open. It's against his characteristics. It's against the Oakland patterns. But it works. They're going to have to makeshift a few things today.
Heath Wright, the punt returner, who was knocked down hard on the playing field, we're told has a concussion and probably won't play again today. Plunkett loses the ball. That's a free football, and Cleveland has it. The Cleveland Browns have the ball inside the 25-yard line of Oakland. So the first fumble recovery of the game is a big one. Marshall Harris, the left end, swept up the ball as Plunkett had it knocked free, fading to throw. And the Browns will go 1st and 10 at the 23-yard line of Oakland.
It all took place, Don, for one simple reason. Marshall Harris was the recipient, but it took place because the defensive secondary was playing real deep. Plunkett wanted to go down the field. You can see Bradley, he comes in, gets a piece of the ball. Plunkett did not give him credit for being able to get it loose. He did jar it loose, didn't come off to a back quick enough. As a result, turnover.
Got to be tough just to hold that cold ball with everybody
Yeah, but you
swiping
better get it off to your backs. If nobody's open down the field, you better do it quick.
It's first down and 10 now for the Cleveland Browns. Sipe takes a look. They're really taking care of him. He's going to run with the ball. Brian Sipe is inside the 15-yard line. Down to the 13-yard line. Rod Martin finally got him, but now the Browns are down close.
Had the same effect as a draw play. Sipe went back trying to throw, had all his receivers running crossing routes. Sipe did not run around laterally, took whatever hole he found up the middle, just moved a little bit to his left. When he did so, there was a natural hole opened up. The linebackers cannot commit themselves to getting up on the play as fast as normal. Matusik finally gets there, gets a piece swiftly. Martin brings him down, but not before they gain a first down.
Marshall Harris with the recovery, a former New York Jet. And now Brian Sipe with a first down run. Handoff up the middle, not much there. Going with the ball is Cleo Miller, a big back. He drives the ball down close to the 13-yard line. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Cleveland Browns and the National Football League is prohibited.
When they start running, Don, Bob Nelson, number 51 for the Raiders, is generally in the middle of the action. He stopped that play for no gain. He's another one of those young insertions that the Raiders have put into their defense.
Ball down to the 13-yard line now. Bob Nelson, a former Buffalo Bill. Raiders have an awful lot of people they got from other teams as free agents that have turned into fine players when they get in the whole scheme of the Oakland system. Here's a pass into the end zone. Logan fighting for the ball. Dwayne Osteen fighting for it, and it comes up incomplete.
Well, that's an outstanding defensive play by Osteen because Logan was sitting with his eye on the ball the whole time. Osteen's got his back to the ball, carries the club. He sees Logan looking at the ball. He goes right into the area he's looking, almost brings it down for an interception. That's just good defense. He's one-on-one out there all by himself.
A fight for the ball on the one-on-one coverage. Our producer today for NBC is George Finkel. Our director, Ken Fouts. As we now have 12 minutes and 19 seconds left to play in the first half. The Browns challenging, but it's so tough to move the ball with frigid temperatures in Ohio. Wind chill this morning was 37 below zero. Third down and 10 for Cleveland. Sipe stands into the end zone. Rucker going for the ball. He caught it! No, they ruled he got it out of bounds. He held on, but the official right there said he was not in bounds when he got it.
Hey, that's one of those plays that if the field had been dry, he would have been able to slow his momentum down enough to get his other foot in bounds. As it existed, he couldn't do that. He just caught the line with his second foot. The official was right on the play and saw it. But, hey, they're picking on those corners, and as long as they try to play a man-to-man, they're going to try and continue picking on him. You see Rucker comes down with one foot there. He can't put his foot down. He's got to put his other foot on the yellow.
So now Don Cockcroft will try another field goal, but first we'll watch Rucker again. This is live. Cockcroft setting up for the field goal.
No cinch.
Paul McDonald holds, and Jerry Sullivan snaps. And the ball is on the way. It is no good. Lester Hayes went to the moon when that one went wide. He jumped about 10 feet in the air.
It's one thing to throw the ball down. It's another thing to kick it. It's a totally different feel when it hits your foot. The ball goes like a brick. We've seen punts have problems. We've seen two chances for field goals have problems, and the score remains at 0-0.
America's not going to be pushed around anymore.
Dodge announces an historic breakthrough, the new Omni Miser with...
Don quickly with John Brody back at Frigid, Cleveland. John, what about the quarterback's touch in this weather?
Well, we've seen them. They've, I think, had very good control of the ball. The receivers have had no control of it. As a result, you need both ends to make things come into a good result. We see Van Eeghen trying to get somewhere at the line of scrimmage. They've just had trouble moving either the offensive or defensive line for the Browns around. I think the Browns are getting the best at the point of attack right now. As a result, they've had a little bit better field position, but no score has resulted. It's going to be tough.
Senior members of the National Football League, Don Cockcroft, has had his problems. He was troubled with a sciatic nerve problem earlier. Played well late in the season, and today This cold, cold ball hadn't been responding to his kicking touch. So it's 0-0. They go back to the run now on 2nd down and 9. Kenny King goes wide, and the Cleveland Browns have been sweeping him under.
Well, they can go as wide as they want, but when you go wide, the key is being able to cut back against the grain when you see the hole. They have not been able to cut back, and when you're running wide with a lot of pursuit following you, the running back is up for grabs. All they have to do is keep everybody coming out at an angle. They'll eventually run him right out of bounds.
Brown offensive line has been moving the ball pretty well at times. Oakland has had virtually no success running it. Brown defense has been taking away the Raiders' gusto with the run. Now Plunkett's going to try to throw it. Put it way up for grabs. Clinton Burrell goes for the ball and can't hold on. Cliff Branch was downfield. Wasn't anywhere near him. Burrell had a sure play on it, but it's so hard to hold on to. That thing came down like a 12-pound.
Branch got very lucky right there because he could not find the ball. Was going over to Burrell trying to defend the play and had no attention on the ball. He knew that it was a possible interception. He was just trying to break it up and didn't get a call.
Keith Wright going off suffered the mild concussion when his head was banged off the playing field on a punt return. Dino Hall's the only man back now for Cleveland as Ray Guy sets to punt. 4th down and 12. Ray Guy back at his 5-yard line. Browns are getting people close to Ray Guy, and now they drop 2 more back. High punt didn't carry very far. Dino Hall from his 46. Dino Hall breaks through and gets out to midfield.
He fumbled the ball, though, Don, and I don't know who came up with it, but I think Cleveland retained possession.
The ball and the weather are great adversaries as much as the Raiders and Oakland are to each other. A 36-yard punt by Ray Guy and a 5-yard return by Dino Hall. So the Browns will get the ball back when we return. 1st and 10 at the Oakland side of the field. We have 10:34 left to play in the first half of this AFC divisional playoff game at cold Cleveland. Tom Flores, his Oakland Raiders on defense now. 1st and 10 Cleveland Browns just across midfield. Brian Sipe has been close to some big connections early in this game. One completion to Reggie Rucker in the end zone, but then the official checked his feet and Rucker wasn't in. Here's a throw to Calvin Hill. He can't hold on.
That gives you some indication of how that ball's coming in there. And these receivers, you can't prepare yourself to catch a brick, okay? And that's what that ball has to feel like when it hits their hands.
I'm surprised, John, how well they're running their patterns. Nobody's fallen down yet.
That's right. They're running them softly, both offensively and defensively, trying to keep from losing their footing. If they lose their footing, it's a certain interception. A quarterback has to throw the ball when you're on the break. You can't wait till you're open because then you close up. I think that Cleveland's had, this is their 4th good field position. If they get no points on the board when everything's going their way early in the ball game, it could get awfully tough later.
First score is going to be an awful big one. And of course, this game will keep on going until somebody gets a score. Brian Sipe takes a look. Now runs down. Millen comes up. Sipe, got a little guy, stays in bounds, gets the extra yardage. He could have bailed out. Joe DeLamielleure gave him a block. Brian Sipe took the ball inside the 45-yard line of Oakland. Moving along on Little Cat's feet here.
Hey, look, Sipe had featured down the field. He wanted, or excuse me, that's Reggie Rucker down the field. He would love to get to him, but he's very well covered by Lester Hayes. As he rolls out of the pocket, looking for a little bit more time. He was looking down the field, had to hold on to the ball. I'm surprised that 2 quarterback runs he's held on to the ball both times and stayed in bounds. We're getting a penalty.
Ben Bright, the referee. The Raiders were offside, so the Browns beneficiaries of a 5-yard mark-off against the Raiders. First penalty of this game.
Lined up in the neutral zone. 2nd down. You'll see strategy change a little here too, because we're normally a 3rd and 2 situation wouldn't be too bad. They get no traction. 3rd and 2 is like 3rd down and 5 if you're running the ball. It's a passing down today. They've got to find a way to get it over that line.
The 2 Pruitts are in the Cleveland backfield now. Greg and Mike, no relation. Greg, the Oklahoma runner, has so many great seasons for the Browns as a rusher and as a pass catcher. Slow this year because of injuries, has a knee problem, but he's always a threat.
Second 5.
2nd down and 5 for Sipe and the Browns. Back to the run. Look at that big back. Shoot up the middle. Come inside the 40 and down to the 39-yard line. It looks like Mike Pruitt has a first down for Cleveland. John Matuzak and Dave Browning on the knockdown.
Shepard and Deacon just made some room there. On the few occasions where there has been movement at the line of scrimmage, it's been the offensive line of Cleveland that's made it.
Mike Pruitt has been the best runner in this game with 28 yards. The Browns down to the 39-yard line of Oakland with a first down. Rucker is wide right. Logan's on the left flank. Newsom, the tight end, but he can go deep too. Here's a pitch back to Greg Pruitt. And the Raiders get him and throw him down. Hendricks, who's having an all-pro season, came up from the outside linebacker, number 83.
He actually had such a good season that several people put him on the ballot as player of the year. Not defensive player of the year, but Jim Thorpe Trophy player of the year. And he's one of these guys that has put such personality into their defense that it's almost like they're attacking the other team's offense. He's freelanced most of the year. Charlie Sumner's kept everything simple for everybody else. He and Lester Hayes have just made so many turnovers. It's kept everybody off balance.
Ted Hendricks, a four-time All-Pro. Of course, only one defensive player has ever received that Jim Thorpe Trophy. Alan Page, when he's with the Vikings, did. I think it was in '72. Second down and 10. Sipe lost the ball.
I think he lost it for good. No, he got to it.
Brian Sipe says, give Sam all the credit. Sam Ratigliano, he's the miracle worker of this team. But Sipe has been a great player. Graded out #1 among all the quarterbacks.
Don, that's the personality of Brian Sipe. It's also the reason he took an awful lot of knocks earlier in his career. He's not a finger pointer. He's the kind of guy that takes the responsibility, distributes the credit. But he is a very tough nut. He's one of these guys that comes in and takes responsibility for things when things aren't going too well. You noticed he has not backed off from throwing that ball all over the park, and he won't.
And now it's third down and 10 for the Cleveland Browns at the 40-yard line of Oakland. 8 minutes and 7 seconds to play in the first half.
Careful. Eddie Hendricks.
Eddie Hendricks it was. He came smoking and nobody touched him. So the Browns are taken way out of position.
That's the beautiful thing, Don, when you have a football structure that allows one man to do what he knows it's time to do. He's very familiar with all the offensive structure of Cleveland. When he finds a weakness, he's going to exploit it, and he doesn't have to go to the sideline to do it.
John Robert L. Jackson of the Browns also has suffered a concussion. He's on the sideline. So 2 Browns have gone out with head injuries in this game because even with a helmet on, when you hit the playing field here, you're hitting a rock-hard concrete surface. It was grass. Kick downfield, a good punt. Hops out of bounds at about the 26-yard line. Keith Moody again watched it. Johnny Evans hitting the punt for the Cleveland Browns.
We're changing our viewpoints a little, Don. We're calling those 26-yarders good, and they do look good.
It was a 24-yard punt. But it's been that kind of a day, and will continue to be when we come back to Cleveland.
When high interest rates...
Tom Flores and Sam Bogosian would rather be in Oakland, but they're glad to be here in the playoffs.
Flores. You don't have your druthers when you get here. You just suck it up and go.
First down and 10 Raiders. No score on the board with 7.5 minutes to go. And again, the Raiders go nowhere on the run. Mark Van Eeghen got the call.
Cleveland's got them playing the game they want them to play. They've got them running the ball on first down. When you do that, Cleveland will stuff you. They haven't been effective throwing the ball. They've only picked up 1 first down in the entire first half. When you get out 0-0, when you picked up 1 first down, you're very lucky.
I hope that guy with the hood on doesn't get his number called to go into the game and take him about 5 minutes to get out all that stuff. Plunkett swings it out. Van Eeghen has the ball. Across the 30, the Browns really come up and strike. Charlie Hall and Bill Cowher on a second down and 8 play make the knockdown at the 31.
You notice when they've thrown the ball off to their backs, they have had a little room to run after they catch it, because when you drop into your secondary drop, you can't get good footing, so you can't get up on Van Eeghen swiftly. He gets the ball and he's got a chance to diddle and daddle and make 4, 5, 6, 7 yards. They haven't made many first downs, only 1 as we mentioned earlier. And I think if they're going to be effective, they're going to have to start throwing the ball to their backs.
Well, let's see what they go to now. It's third down and 3 for Oakland. No score on the board. 6:23 left to play in the first half. Plunkett takes a look. In the flat, he's intercepted. This will go for a touchdown. The ball is picked off by Ron Bolton. And into the end zone he goes. His second interception of the day. And the defense comes up with the first score of this football game. Ron Bolton with his second interception in the flat. They were going to Bob Chandler. Bolton took it, had a clear track into the end zone.
Kind of throw you really want to stay away from. The sideline throw when you've got a man like Bolton who was just standing back there biding his time. It looked as if Chandler was the man to go to. He did not come out of his pattern well. As a result, it's 6 points for Cleveland. Plunkett goes back to throw the ball. He's trying to look off the secondary. As he comes out, there's no defensive linebacker in the area, but he didn't see Bolton. Bolton was standing waiting the whole time. As soon as that ball was delivered, watch Chandler come out. He kind of comes out and rolls into his pattern. Most of his patterns are crisp. He doesn't see Bolton coming right from behind him, or he'd have been in the way of the ball. They can't get it over for the extra point, though. Still 6-0.
Boy, it's really been affected on the placements. Don Cockcroft with 2 missed field goals and now a missed extra point, just didn't get up in the air. The return by Ron Bolton was for 42 yards on the first score of this game. So with 6:10 to go in the first half, the Browns have cut off the schneid.
The world of business machines. A confusing tangle of equipment, capabilities, and promises. But out of it emerges Exxon Office Systems Company. Quix, the intelligent typewriter that speeds typing of information. Widec word processors that change, rearrange, and store text. Quip machines that send and receive documents by phone. Now all of them have the commitment of one of America's largest corporations. Introducing Exxon Office Systems.
Gordy, who? You switched to natural light.
Sure, natural light tastes better to me. That's why I switched.
And it's all natural ingredients. Tell me, Gordy, now that you've retired, life's a little more peaceful, huh?
Much more.
2 natural lights, please.
Give me a check.
Check.
Natural light. Taste is why you'll switch.
I'm learning to take it easy.
Him too.
Check.
The first score of the game is up. And it comes from a defensive player, Ron Bolton of the Cleveland Browns.
All right, Don, you know, in looking back, Bob Chandler's plus point is how well he runs his patterns, not his speed. But if you don't get on him, he'll run his patterns and beat you to death. Today is a very difficult day to run any kind of pattern. You noticed he came out of it and he slid down the line. It enabled Bolton to run right in front of him, pick the ball off for 6.
Let's watch the kickoff now. It's been so difficult to kick the ball. You saw the extra point didn't go anywhere. Cockcroft gets that ball in the air. It is taken down at the 18-yard line. Arthur Whittington turns wide.
A lot of people in front of him.
Ricky Feature missed him, but slowed him up, and finally the knockdown is made at about the 36-yard line. So the Raiders go back on offense, 1st and 10. 5:58 to play in the first half. Here's the touchdown again.
Plunk goes back. Sometimes you're trying to take something that you just can't handle. That kind of mistake dictates the outcome of playoff games. As we've looked throughout the league over the first 4 or 5 playoff games, it's been mistakes more than offensive execution that's dictated the outcome.
Sam Ratigliano and Jim Plunkett are old friends. Ratigliano is the offensive coordinator at New England back in '71 when Plunkett came there as the #1 pick in the NFL. He says that Plunkett, it's been a career of trauma, but finally he's getting what he deserves and playing with a good team and getting a chance. Plunkett gonna run, throws on the run. Way too much on it. Cliff Branch was downfield, but a Brown, Clay Matthews, ended up nearest it. So did Dick Ambrose come close to getting the ball.
Still trying to go downfield, Don. When you try to go downfield, your quarterback has to wait for his receiver to get open. Cleveland has done very well. They've played it smartly. They're playing a deep zone. They're trying to make Oakland execute inside the seams, and they haven't been able to do it.
We're told from the sideline, John, that it was Ted Hendricks who got a piece of the extra point attempt by Cockcroft.
It wasn't going very high. I'm not sure it would have gone in anyway.
Plunkett is 3 for 12 throwing the ball for 21 yards. He's been intercepted twice. Look at Bob Chandler. Did he get
there is a reception.
We're talking about Al Davis saying Chandler's a cold weather catcher, and that was a superior play by Bob Chandler.
He can catch a ball in a swimming pool. He's just a great receiver that is really hampered because of the conditions today. Plunkett throws the ball in between the seams. We mentioned he wasn't having much success doing that. Had some success on that occasion, and Chandler made a great catch.
All those seasons in Buffalo helped Bob Chandler. He played 9 years there, a former captain of Southern California. He caught 10 for touchdowns this year for Oakland. Caught 49 balls in the regular season. Swing pass to Kenny King. On first down, King turns wide and gets down to the 45-yard line of the Cleveland Browns. Clay Matthews ran him out of bounds.
I know that Oakland doesn't like to take those little dink-off patterns because it just isn't in the the way they like to run the ball up and down the field. They like to go down the field and challenge the defense. But today, they're going to find a few linebackers falling down, and they're going to pick up some long yards if they'll continue to do it. You'll notice every time they've come off, they've completed the ball, and they picked up 4, 5, 6, or 7. There's no need to try anything else until they're stopped.
Well, that's probably what Plunkett then will continue to do. Get the underneath short pass. The Browns gave up a lot of yards to that this season. They take away the long pass. Plunkett stands in, has time, throws the ball, and it's caught for a first down. Again, they go underneath the zone coverage down to the 39-yard line.
Hit your backs, baby. I think he's got a first down, but they may rule it a foot short.
See where they spot the ball down. Could be short. Raiders thought they had it. Their sideline is protesting. Mark Van Eeghen, the receiver, ball down just inside the 40. So it's going to be third down and less than a yard. Game clock, 5 minutes to play in the first half. Cleveland Browns lead 6-0 on a 42-yard interception return by Ron Bolton, who's intercepted 2 today for Cleveland.
Now it's up to their offensive linemen. They haven't been able to get much surge so far in the ball game. They've got to get them a foot.
You look through these stands, it appears the no-shows are non-existent. Everybody's here. Over 80,000.
Good play by Jim Plunkett. Mix up in the backfield. His running backs never did get a clean slate at the ball. He took it, jumped over the center for a first down. That's their third one of the ball game, second on this drive.
It's tough.
Look, you can see he just couldn't get a clean handoff. Found a hole and took it.
Jim Plunkett dives for the first down to the 38-yard line of Cleveland.
Van Eeghen could not get his footing. Was into the hole late.
Wind chill just before game time measured at minus 37 degrees here at Cleveland. Minus 37.
Draw play.
Kenny King running hard, takes the ball down to the 31-yard line. Plunkett and the Raiders starting to move now. Jim Plunkett's had his problems with 2 interceptions. You'll recall he also fumbled the ball.
This is not the kind of day where you challenge defenses. You take what they give you and you make them react to what you've taken. They've done that on this drive and they've been effective. You remember they've hit 2 backs. Chandler makes a great catch, and now Kenny King gets a little room to run a draw.
You think the offense has an advantage on the slippery field?
Sometimes. Not so far today.
Down to the 29-yard line on second down and 3. Lyle Alzado made the play, so did Clay Matthews. Alzado's been a great leader, number 77 of these Cleveland Browns. He came in here, of course, from Denver. He's known Sam Ratigliano for a long time. They're both from Brooklyn. Said Ratigliano said to him, Lyle, you know I love you. Just give me whatever you have left.
You know what he's brought? He's brought the composure of a guy who's been in a championship game. His whole personality is geared toward getting all of it, folks. You know, let's not just get a piece, let's get it all. We're as good as anybody else, and I think that's brought a lot of the younger players up to the level they're playing today.
Third down and just over a yard now for the Oakland Raiders. Back to the run, and now the Raiders start to crack it. Trap blocking up the middle, and the fullback Van Eeghen takes it down to the 25-yard line.
And this has been a beautiful drive. They were totally inept in the first quarter and a half. They got the ball with 5.5 minutes to play. In 3 minutes, they've run off 3 first downs. They've done things a whole lot more creatively, and they haven't tried to pick on them down the field. They're taking what they've been given.
Sam Ratigliano went to the same high school in Brooklyn as Al Davis, the man who runs the Raiders, did, Erasmus Hall. He said, Sam says, Al was a little bit ahead of me in a lot of ways.
I'm not sure of that.
First down and 10 now for Oakland. They trail 6-0. Plunkett stands in, throws. It comes up on the one hop. Clinton Burrell was the closest to it. And the game clock is stopped with 1:57 left to play in the first half.
They have doubled Cliff Branch all day long. That's why they have not been able to get to him. Unless they change, they won't be able to.
1:57 left to play in the first half, with the Raiders with the ball trailing 6-0.
Hello, I'm Dick Enberg, and this is the ultimate souvenir of one of sports' biggest events, the official Super Bowl 15 game program containing dozens of action photos, a week-by-week review of the 80 season, and complete scouting reports of the Super Bowl teams. This is the same 144-page program that'll be sold in New Orleans, so order yours now. Send a check or money order for $3.50 for each program to Super Bowl 15, Post Office Box 15, Houston, Texas 77001. Allow 3 weeks for delivery after the game, but order today.
I want you to meet Carol. It's hard to believe that less than a year ago, she wanted to end her life by suicide. Hi, I'm Steve Nelson of the New England Patriots. I want to show you how people like Carol who face this desperate problem are being helped by a very special group of people here in Boston. They're called the Samaritans. They provide a 24-hour-a-day suicide prevention service, and the work is made possible by the United Way. United Way works here, and thanks to you, it works for all of us. The United Way.
The preceding announcement was furnished by the National Football League. Don Criqui with John Brody. Mike Adamle also here with us at Cleveland Stadium. 1:57 left to play in this AFC divisional playoff game. Left to play in the first half. Coming up at halftime, we'll be going to New York to Bryant Gumbel. An update on the playoff activity as it's been so far. San Diego Chargers a victor yesterday. And they'll be the host team next week for the AFC Championship game on NBC next Sunday. The winner of this game goes to San Diego. It's second down and 10. Handoff. King bounces off, tries to run wide, and the Browns hem it in. Clay Matthews finally caught him and knocked him down. A former #1 draft choice of the Browns out of Southern California, third-year linebacker. Browns have good linebacking, so do the Raiders.
And boy, they've got everything going for him today, Don, because when a man breaks a tackle at the point of attack and he starts going laterally, any sort of pursuit is going to catch him because he can't turn up. He can't get any strength going forward for himself. He can't get his shoulders going forward. He can't get his foot in any kind of placement to take on a linebacker. He's at the total mercy of the linebacker.
And now it's third down and 13 for Oakland. Branch and Chandler are both wide right. Here's Kenny King coming in motion to the near side. Plunkett stands in. They're giving him more time now. It's caught. Raymond Chester down to the 2-yard line, so the Oakland Raiders are now point-blank range. First and goal from the 2.
Don, that was an absolutely perfect throw by Plunkett. He was in a situation where he had Kenny King in motion out to the other side. 3 men on 1 against Chester. He put the ball where it had to be thrown at a perfect time. Chester cradled it with his body. Comes down with a first down inside the 5. This drive has been vintage. They are doing things that they're not accustomed to doing. That's the first time that they've run a play that's within keeping of their personality. It was effective, great execution.
That was their biggest play of this game, a 26-yard gain on the throw from Plunkett to Raymond Chester down to the 2-yard line. Spotted just outside the 2. The best in college basketball returns Saturday, January 10th on NBC with exciting coverage of some key regional games. 3 of the top 10 teams in the nation will be in action on NBC, including the Kentucky Wildcats going against the Tennessee Volunteers. Other games feature Villanova against Syracuse, Notre Dame against Marquette, or UCLA versus USC. So check your local listings for the game and time in your area.
Don, we've got 1 minute and 3 seconds remaining in the half. The Raiders still have a couple timeouts. There really is no problem. They can take all 4 downs to score it. That ball being just inside the 3 is a little misleading. They may not be able to get that thing in there at running the ball from the line of scrimmage.
So now the Browns leading 6-0 back to their end zone. The Raiders come out with one of the biggest, toughest forward walls in football. Lining up to power the ball at Cleveland and try to tie the game. End up. Fumble, free ball. The Raiders recover.
Boy, that's a break. Van Eeghen took first. He slipped when they were trying to hand the ball off to him. It's absolutely frozen solid down there inside the 5-yard line. He couldn't get a grab on the ball when he got it because he came out having slipped to start off. You see, he got a late start, never gets the ball in his grasp. When he does, it bounces right up to him.
That is really a tough area of the field, John. That's right. That's ice down there.
To fumble the ball 1.5 yards forward, pick and recover it yourself, that's a gift, folks. It's bouncing just right.
Plunkett has a problem, throws it away in the end zone. Derek Ramsey was somewhere near the ball, but a blitz was coming.
That's a good play by Clarence Scott, Don.
Don Goody coming on the blitz, number 50. Yeah, Clarence Scott had the coverage on it.
Well, it was a little delayed pattern, and actually Derek Ramsey would have been wide open. Plunkett could have taken something off the ball and had him run right under it. Scott was alert.
Over the years, the Raiders have pretty much dominated the Browns in 7 previous meetings. The Raiders have won 6, including one last year at Oakland in the regular season. Oakland beat Cleveland 19-14. Next Sunday, January 11th, the San Diego Chargers meet the winner of today's game for the AFC Championship. the victor, defending the AFC's honor in the Super Bowl, where 7 of the last 9 champions have been American Conference teams. NBC's coverage of the American Conference Championship game next Sunday begins at 4:30 with NFL 80. Join host Brian Gamble for an inside look at the AFC Championship game. And then watch the best of the AFC battle for a trip to Super Bowl 15 coming up January 25th on NBC.
Don, anybody getting an opportunity to get out of this ball game with a victory and avoiding frostbite would look awful forward to going out into that 70-degree temperature.
I tell you, these fans are playing hurt too. That's going to be tough in there.
Tell you, there aren't many empty seats though.
Virtually none. Over 80,000. Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Stadium. What a history this place has. Great teams over the years. Place has rocked to the cheers of 80,000 Cleveland fans so many Sundays.
3rd down and 2, I'm sure Oakland has discussed whether to go for 2 plays or 1.
Van Eeghen takes it into the end zone. Touchdown, Oakland Raiders, and the football game is tied with 18 seconds to play in the first half.
Great movement, Don, by Mickey Marvin and Henry Lawrence. Those 2 guys moved the defense of the Browns a yard and a half back, and that's the only way you're going to gain any yardage today. Get your offensive linemen to do their job, because nobody can bowl anybody over. Excellent play. Number 70, number 65. Get the defenders on the ground, allow the back to go over the top.
So now Chris Barr comes out. He had an excellent playoff game against Houston. Chris Barr, 3 for 3 in extra points, 2 for 2 in field goals in his first playoff game ever last week.
I think it'll be a little easier for a sidewinder to get the ball up in this weather. We'll see. Might break his foot, but I think he can get it up.
Bob Chandler holds. The extra point is up and right down the middle. So Chris Barr delivers, and it is now an Oakland Raider lead 7-6 with 18 seconds left to play in the first half.
Don, give credit to Jim Plunkett. That was a beautifully conceived drive. He did things in very difficult conditions, threw the ball where it had to be thrown. Chandler came down with 1 great catch, but he put the ball around the infield, threw it to the areas that were open. As a result, put on about a 65-yard drive, and they got a touchdown right after an interception. That's the change in Jim Plunkett. You know, earlier he used to get his dauber down a little bit, wouldn't come right back. Winning 10 out of 12 games that he's played in the latter part of the season this year, I think has really given him a lot of confidence, and the Raiders have a lot in him.
They do. He came in as a free agent, 78. 64-yard drive, and watch Bob Chandler, one of the great holders in football, set it down gingerly, and Barr bangs it.
That comes into play today,
doesn't it? The Raiders break the tie, a 64-yard drive, 14 plays, Van Eeghen on the payoff end from a yard out. And the extra point by Chris Barr gives the Oakland Raiders a 7-6 lead with 18 seconds to play in the first half. Now Charles White, the Heisman Trophy winner a year ago from Southern California. The number 1 draft choice of the Browns is in to return the kickoff along with Dino Hall. Hall gets the ball across the 20, right up the gut. He comes out to the 35-yard line on the fly. 14 seconds left to play in the half. Steve Sylvester was on the stop for the Raiders.
Be very surprised, Don, if Oakland plays that man-to-man defense they've been playing throughout the first half now. They've got to put people back, take away the opportunity for a long gainer or a penalty, because you can bet Brian's going to heave it up there.
Brian will be a pitch, and he comes out now. He'll be going home to San Diego next week to play the Chargers if the Browns advance to that game.
Win or lose, I got to believe he'll be out there.
Played at San Diego State. Brian Sipe. Computers aren't always right. He wasn't drafted until the 12th round. Brian Sipe on first down, stands in, throws long. Rucker gets the ball and is out of bounds at the 48-yard line. 8 seconds left.
One more pitch. They've got to get it down to the 25-yard line, Don. They've got to get about 23 yards on this next play within 8 seconds. They've still got a timeout left. That would give Cockcroft a chance to change his luck a little bit. But anything over 40 yards, I relate to as utterly impossible.
It has been for Cockcroft. He's really had his problems. Barr hit it. Sidewinder, no problem on the extra point. 7-6, Oakland leads. 6 seconds left in the half. As Sipe throws long. Logan's going for the ball. Lester Hayes intercepted another one. The man is absolutely phenomenal. 17 interceptions he has this season. 4 in the playoffs. Lester Hayes of Texas A&M.
He's playing the only way he should play at this time. He was playing 25 yards deep. They figure if we're going to have a go at it, let's try him again. See if he can come down with this one.
Well, I know what I'd do with him, John. I'd put him on offense, too. Lester would be going both ways for me today because he can catch it better than anybody out there.
He does pretty well just going the way he does. Here goes Logan down the field. You know he's not going to get behind Hayes. A lot of fellas be content just to bat it down, not Lester. Put another skin on the wall.
So the Raiders rally back and take the lead. That's the end of the first half. With the score, the Oakland Raiders 7, the Cleveland Browns 6.
Ram Tough Dodge pickup, new design for 1981, built tougher than ever. With better mileage, galvanized steel in critical areas, twice as much as last year. More than Ford or Chevy. Best EPA mileage estimates with automatic transmission. More than Ford or Chevy. New Dodge pickups go beyond tough.
Dodge trucks are Ram tough.
Dodge Ram 150 pickup prices start at $59.97.
You know, I happen to tell my Allstate agent about how everything I have two of.
Hi, Dad.
Like 2 cars, he asked. Maybe Allstate's 2-car discount can save you money on insurance. I compared. Allstate saves me more. I can use the money.
Noah, dinner.
One wife.
Compare. Allstate's multi-car discount may save you more money. You're in good hands with Allstate.
And that's a promise from us, the good hands people.
And we're just about set for the second half of this AFC divisional playoff game. The Raiders and the Browns in the first half, each with 6 first downs. The Raiders culminating a 64-yard drive with a 1-yard touchdown run by Mark Van Eeghen, and the subsequent extra point by Chris Barr have taken the lead 7-6 in the game.
Don, the kicking game has been a big factor. So far, the Browns have had much better field position than the Raiders. The Raiders put together 1 good drive throughout the entire first half. It happened late. Other than that, they were totally nullified. And I think when you look at the passing stats, they give you an indication of the conditions that exist. Although they don't get much reception-wise, they've got to go upstairs because nobody can run one another off at the line of scrimmage. Plunkett hit 7 for 18. Brian Sipe perhaps had his worst statistical day of the year, 4 for 18. However, I don't think it will have any effect on what he's going to do in the second half. The receivers are going to have to find a way to come up with the ball when it's thrown.
Browns are back out on the playing field, and so the 80,000 file back in. There is no relief from the cold. An amazing turnout, considering the weather conditions that wind chill factor announced at 37 below zero. These people.
People talk about the fact that, well, maybe they're used to it in Cleveland. Nobody's used to 37 below. That's when everyone stays in and looks at the snowfall on the ground. And no matter what sort of conditions do exist, these people are going to come out and watch their Browns win from their viewpoint. And if they have to tolerate the cold, the players can do it, so they're going to have a go at it also.
It was a long first half, John.
And it's going to be a longer second half. When you put the ball up as much as they do, and there are as many incompletions thrown as there have been and will be in the second half, it tends to lengthen the time of the game. These fellows will probably be out there upwards of 3.5 to 4 hours. I don't see anybody. I just don't see. It looks as if the ground is a little bit better than it was at the start of the game. I'm not sure that's so, but in the middle of the field, if they can find any footing at all, you'll see the ball start to go in the middle of it.
Well, the Raiders got their stuff together. They didn't run at all with any success early in the game, and then they started to move out better. And Plunkett started to throw some big strikes. He had a disastrous first half, but as he's done all season long, he's rallied the Raiders back.
Don, what you see, you know, we talk about the footing of the receivers. We talk about a lot of things. What isn't automatic anymore in these conditions is the snap between quarterback and center. What isn't automatic is the guard and the tackle being able to coordinate some movement-wise, and the defense can just stand you straight up. You can't do anything with their footing. If your feet don't work and don't get under you and you don't have any momentum with them, then you just can't move anywhere. That's
one guy, John, who's enjoying this like a day at the beach, though, is Lester Hayes. How come he doesn't have any problem?
That's a question. I'll tell you what, and I don't have an answer. I do know this. He's been in a position on both interceptions where he's been back waiting on the ball. He is wearing gloves, but everybody's wearing gloves. He's the only man in the game outside of one catch by Chandler who's caught the ball with his arms at the proper extension at the height of its arc. And primarily the receivers have tried to catch the ball in their body. It's bounced off it like a brick wall. So I don't have an answer for that. The man's having a year that maybe he doesn't know it's cold down there.
Might not. Lester Hayes with a couple of more interceptions today. He had 2 last week, 17 for the year. The Cleveland Browns and the Oakland Raiders both were long shots the way this season started out. Both lost 3 of their first 5 games and then got it together and rallied back. And now the Raiders coming in with a record of 12-5 on the year, the wild card team from the AFC West. The winner of this game will, of course, go to San Diego to play the Chargers next Sunday. 4:30 start time on NBC, the American Conference title game.
You know, I really thought that the Browns had a big edge coming into the ball game when the conditions were the way they were. Number one, personality-wise, Oakland likes to attack the defense. You can't do that today. Number two, Brian Sipe has 5 receivers who have caught 50 or more balls. He's thrown the ball around the infield all year long. He's been the kind of fellow that can take advantage of a weakness. However, because Oakland has played man-to-man defense, it has necessitated him going down the field one-on-one, trying to get a receiver free. So far, he's been unable to do so. But if they play the same defense, you can bet he's just going to keep peppering.
Well, we're going to find out right now because the Browns are out and so are the Oakland Raiders. We're ready now for the opening kickoff of the 3rd quarter. See the numbers of the quarterbacks. Brian Sipe only 4 of 18. This is 61% plus thrower throughout the regular season. They gave him some extra time in the locker room at halftime because of the cold weather.
I'm not sure that's good. Do you get warm in 15 minutes?
Not from this, you don't. Charles White, Dino Hall will be kickoff return man now for the Cleveland Browns. Chris Barr hit that very big extra point after Van Eeghen's 1-yard touchdown plunge. To give the Raiders the 1-point lead, has the ball teed up, ready to kick it off now to open the 3rd quarter. Barr's into it, and here is Charles White. At the 20, 25, and all the way out to the 39-yard line. There's Charles White. The 1979 Heisman Trophy winner from Southern California, Todd Christensen, made the stop for the Oakland Raiders. 14:52 left to play in the 3rd quarter now as we're ready to go at the first play from scrimmage. Oakland Raiders across their defensive front have John Matuzak at one end. Reggie Kinlaw is the middle guard. Dave Browning the right end. Hendricks, Millen, Nelson, and Rod Martin back to line. Lester Hayes and Dwayne Osteen at the corners. Mike Davis and Burgess Owens are the safeties. Brian Sipe setting up to throw on 1st down. Takes a look. Guns the ball down low. Did he get the ball?
I think it was a 1-bouncer. They may give it to him, but it looked like a 1-bouncer from here.
Ozzie Newsome is being credited with the reception, and the Raiders.
That's a good break. You see Ozzie Newsome, who they've been trying to get to in the first half without any success, now gets in between the linebackers. You see the problem he's having coming into his pattern. Did that hit the ground or did it hit his hands? We know it bounced into his chest, but he might have had his hands underneath. 1st and 10.
Mike Pruitt gets the call. Takes it down to the 47-yard line.
All right, we've noticed that Brian Sipes had excellent time throwing the ball, but when they want to run the ball, the defense has all the best of it. John Matusik's been in there plugging up the holes all the way. You can see they both come to a standstill. When neither guy gets good footing, everybody comes together. Looks like a jump center, and the back runs into the pile.
Talking to Earl Leggett, the defensive line coach of the Raiders. Great player of the Chicago Bears. He said Matuzak's like one of the old Bears, like George Halas liked him, real big and plenty mean.
He's found a home in Oakland.
He's having a Pro Bowl year, John Matuzak. Came as a free agent, even though he was the #1 player drafted in the NFL. Running with the ball is Kelvin Hill. And Kelvin's not done yet as he goes down the sideline and takes it inside the 30-yard line. They mark him out of bounds at the 28.
This is just super offensive surge. We mentioned that the offensive linemen don't really get any surge. You can see John Matusik, number 72. Willie Jones. He's having a little problem. And watch Hill. Now, it looks like he's free right here, but he can't keep his footing and well enough to... There's nobody between himself and the goal line, but he can't keep his balance.
A slick field, but Calvin Hill treads over it for 18 yards and a Cleveland Brown first down to the 28-yard line of Oakland. Logan wide left. Rucker wide right. Calvin Hill comes out of the backfield. Brian Sipe takes a look and runs with the ball, and Brian Sipe comes inside the 25-yard line. Down to the 24. But Tuzak at 6'8", 280 fell on him.
Don't think it doesn't smart. That's the third time that Sipe is elected to go forward. You'll notice when he does start running, he doesn't run sideways. When he steps up and when he goes back to throw, he'll step up in the pocket. He will not try to get his offensive tackles to let anybody inside.
Personal foul, number 72 on a defense, grabbing the face mask. First down.
Well, maybe we can see it. You see that paw come around the end.
So now the Browns take the ball down to the 20-yard line.
Not a flagrant violation, therefore only 5 yards.
It can be up to 15 yards, depending on the severity of the infraction and the opinion of the official. Face mask can be 5, 10, or 15. John pointed out that one was 5. And now the Browns start to mount a challenge in the third quarter on their first possession. Brian Sipe takes a look. Throws. He's got Ozzie Newsome. And Ozzie Newsome takes the ball inside the 15-yard line and down to the 13.
Oakland has continued to play a man-to-man defense. Now when you get inside the 20-yard line, it almost precludes them from playing any type of zone. We've seen Cleveland continue to do what they tried to do in the first half unsuccessfully. Come to Ozzie Newsome, throw the ball off to Calvin Hill. Calvin Hill, by the way, only carried the ball once in the entire National Football League season. He's carried the ball 3 or 4 times today.
Second down and 4 for the Cleveland Browns. 13-yard line of Oakland. Pruitt, quick hitter. Didn't get much. Maybe a yard. That was all. Reggie Kinlaw, one of the quickest middle guards in pro football. Only 240 pounds, but he's so tough to block. One of the 42 Oklahoma players in the NFL.
2nd and 5 is a natural run-pass situation under normal conditions. Today, my pick is it's a throw-in situation.
That is an interesting point, John. The strategy's completely changed. Defenses looking for a pass in a particular area. Everything goes out the window. Now you're not quite sure what anybody's going to do on offense, particularly an innovative quarterback like Brian Sipe. 3rd down and 3 now. 3rd and 3 for the Browns. Big down. Sipe is looking. Throwing to Logan. And Dwayne Osteen is right with them. They both head up into a snowbank.
Good footing. The defense is all at the worst of it. Bad footing. One-on-one. Osteen and Logan. It looks for a sure thing. It's a perfect setup for a touchdown throw. Logan could not get his footing, could not come out of his pattern, could not get close to the ball.
So now it's 4th down, and Don Cockcroft will try again. You'll recall in the first half he missed 2 field goal attempts and an extra point. Paul McDonald will hold.
See if he can get this one up.
He's got it up. Don Cockcroft drills it down the middle, and the Cleveland Browns take the lead. It's 9-7 Cleveland with 11:29 left to play in the 3rd quarter. So they've got something to cheer about once again in Cleveland, and the Browns will be kicking it off when we come back.
Hey, see y'all down the road, Jack. If you're going to move your family, you can save a lot of money by renting a truck. Moving yourself, and you might as well rent a real truck. A Ryder. Ryder isn't famous for renting cars, beep, beep, little trailers. Ryder's famous for trucks. Pro drivers will tell you that.
Okay, King of the Road. Just hold the lamp.
We're back and set to go as Cockcroft hit the field goal that gave the Cleveland Browns a 9-7 lead with 11:29 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Sam Ratigliano and his Browns, champions of the AFC Central and in the playoffs for the first time since 1972. Cockcroft hits the ball downfield, hits it well. It's going to take a Cleveland hop. It is picked up by Arthur Whittington at the 20, 25, and the 30, and Arthur Whittington busts it right up the middle and takes the ball out to the 40.
Don, I'll tell you what, the kicking game is such an instrumental part in both these clubs winning or losing. You'll notice the kicking game is really at a standstill. The ball is rock hard. They can't get it more than 35, 40 yards downfield. When they do, it gives the return team a chance to set things up. Both teams brought the kickoffs out to the 40-yard line. That gives their Look at this guy. Maybe he doesn't know where he is. Not cold now, baby, but try it in the morning.
That's unbelievable. It's one of those at every ball game, Ordner. Right up the middle on first down. The Raiders go to the run. Van Eeghen takes it across the 40-yard line after the 43. Henry Bradley, the middle guard, made the knockdown. Marshall Harris, Henry Bradley, Lyle Alzado, the defensive front men for Cleveland. Charlie Hall, Robert L. Jackson, Dick Ambrose, and Clay Matthews. Some of the Browns get to the heated benches.
Here's a man that doesn't very often come out of a football game. He started every ball game he's played for the Raiders. Gene Upshaw is coming off with a little bit of injury. That's a big segment in their offensive line.
205 straight games over 13 years. He's never missed a preseason game, a regular season game.
And he'll be back.
Or a postseason game. He's the leader of the Oakland Raiders. He delivers the clubhouse speech before they take the playing field. Running with the ball is Van Eeghen, but the Cleveland linebackers hem him in, and Dick Ambrose makes the knockdown.
Robert L. Jackson out there trying to stay warm, pump up his defense. Dick Ambrose, we mentioned earlier, is the man that's generally in the right hole at the right time when you're running a draw play. This is a draw all the way. He never bites a lick, gets on Van Eeghen before he can get to the line of scrimmage. 3rd down and 6. Upshaw's back.
Didn't take long. One play, and Gene Upshaw back in the lineup for the Oakland Raiders. Plunkett throws in the flat. Oh, no, Clarence Scott, who almost intercepted the ball. And so 4th down now comes up for Oakland. And the Cleveland Browns got back their punt return man. Dino Hall goes back for the Browns.
Very important segment of plays, Don, because you recall just before the half, the Raiders ran it right down the field with the wind. They are now going against the wind. It's a little bit more difficult to operate. They couldn't come up with much.
Ray Guy standing back at his 30, and Dino Hall is back at the 11-yard line of Cleveland.
His concern is not how far he kicks it, but that he catches it.
They got to get first things first. He catches it, and he kicks it well. A high spiral. Dino Hall looks up in the sun, takes the ball, and heads upfield. Here's the blockers on the wall. Dino Hall rips it all the way down to the 36-yard line. Joe Campbell makes the stop for Oakland. 38-yard punt, a 16-yard return by Dino Hall. So the clock is stopped with 9:59 left to play in the 3rd quarter, and the Browns in the lead 9-7. They like all this in Cleveland, and with good reason, as the Browns are in the lead 9-7. With a long way to go, 9:59 left to play in the game. The Oakland Raiders come in with a defense that plays very well against the run with those huge linebackers like Hendricks and Millett. And on long yardage, they'll go to 4 down linemen and 5 defensive backs. Oakland people will tell you this is the best Raider defense they've ever had. Brian Sipe looks into that defense now and throws over it, going for Rucker, and he is struck. Wayne Osteen gets him as he goes out of bounds.
Again, the Raiders continue to play that man-to-man defense. He's trying to find an open receiver. The Raiders have not changed, and I don't think they have any reason to. They've been effective making Sipe throw the ball down the field. You see, he gets a one-on-one situation. Rucker on Osteen. The ball didn't get there.
Greg Pruitt now goes in the offensive backfield of Cleveland. Calvin Hill comes out.
You know, Calvin Hill may not be accustomed to playing quite as much as he's played today, and they're going to have to give him periodic rest, which they did on this occasion.
2nd down and 10 now coming up for the Browns from their 35. Again, Sipe gets time, lost it downfield to Greg Pruitt. He catches the ball. Greg Pruitt has the ball all the way down to the 39-yard line of Oakland. Rod Martin made the tackle, but Pruitt cruised right into the secondary, took the ball, and goes down for a gain of 26 yards.
All right, he got by the linebackers. Once you get by those fellas, they're trying to catch up with you. They're in an excellent position to do something, but when the ball's in the air, they're trying to get their balance. Pruitt is trying to get the ball. Looks like it's a very close play, but Pruitt had it all the way.
All the way. Greg Pruitt. He's built like a little Atlas. He's a big man. 5'8", 195 pounds is what he really is. 1st and 10.
contact can create fumbles right now. Ball possession is very important.
Got to hold on to the ball, and they've done it remarkably well considering the playing conditions with 8:37 left to go in the third quarter. The Cleveland Browns, behind at the half 7-6, have taken the lead 9-7 on Cockcroft's field goal. Second down and 10 now for the Browns. Side pass gave Logan open, and Logan's down to the 24-yard line. Wayne Osteen makes the tackle, but the Browns drive on.
Okay, that's the strategy. Keep firing that ball down the field. They're still in a man-to-man defense. Very tough on the cornerbacks. Sipe figures we're going to find one of you fellas open, 1 out of 3 downs, and when you do, I'll hit him. That's the way it's been going in the second half. See, he's getting no pass rush. It allows these wide receivers to get down the field, get into their routes. Just give them a crack.
Browns connecting much better now with their passing game. Sipe is getting the time, and the receivers are getting open. Here's Sipe throwing to the end zone. Reggie Rucker.
Sipe's trying to get a call down. Sipe was trying to get a call. He did. When he threw the ball, he thought there was interference. He thought there was contact about 9-10 yards down the field. You know, we see a lot more completions right now than we did early in the ball game, Don, and primarily because even though the conditions haven't improved, the receivers are getting more accustomed to them. And when you do get accustomed to them, you know how fast you can run your patterns, you know how long it's going to take you to come out of them, and you know that ball's going to be like a brick. It's not optimum to be catching a brick, but if you know how heavy it is, at least you've got a better chance.
Cleveland Browns have allowed only 23 sacks of Brian Sipe all season long. They said the primary game plan was we had to protect him because it's going to take time for the receivers to get open against the bump and run defense of the Raiders. Swing pass to Greg Pruitt, and Pruitt's inside the 20. Well short of a first down. On a 2nd and 10 play, he got about 5.
You know what's helped right now is Sipe has pretty good footing. The rest of the fellas are having a little trouble. As a result, he's getting good time. He's getting a lot of momentum on his ball. Put it out there in the flat to Greg Pruitt. Mike Davis is in a very difficult assignment. He's got somebody one-on-one all day long. Your strong safeties are generally the fellas that are real good force men and good tacklers, and coverage is secondary.
Over 80,000 packing Cleveland Stadium as the Browns now come up 3rd down and 5. They lead the game 9-7. The blitz. Browning was coming on the run, and Brian Sipe got rid of it.
Boy, that was a great play by Rod Martin. That was a little cooler play. They were waiting for the proper situation. Sipe was going to roll left. Browning forced him into making a move before he wanted to, and Rod Martin was all over Calvin Hill down the right sideline.
Don Cockcroft finally connected the last time he tried a field goal. It was a 30-yarder. Now he'll be hitting one from about 36 yards away.
This is a long one.
It's a real long one in these conditions. That is very true. The sun is shining brightly now at one end of the field, the open end.
Fake.
I think McDonald might have had a problem holding the ball.
That's why he tried to do what he did with it.
Now the Raiders will take it over at their 28-yard line.
Good break for Oakland. Look, you can see he never got a good handle on the ball. Cockcroft comes up late. This is not a design play. This is an automatic. It's like an audible. When you see something like this happen, it was not a good hand back. You just try to make the best out of a bad situation. At home, someone might think this is no time for a fake field goal, but you can see McDonald trying to get control of the ball against his leg. It was a relatively bad snap. He didn't get full control of it. This is an audible that happens whenever things go bad. You can see Cockcroft tried to help out where he could. All to no avail. Raiders 1st and 10 on their own 28.
If he kept it there and Cockcroft kicked it, it would have been blocked then and probably knocked way back downfield.
You bet.
On 1st down and 10, Plunkett takes a look and he throws and kicks. The connection out to the 33-yard line.
Cliff Branch, first reception of the day, Don. They've been double teaming him. That time he cut underneath. That's the kind of pattern when your wide receivers do get balls. That's the kind of patterns I think they ought to run more of. Clean people out, run your wide receivers back underneath, see if you can't get them on the dead run.
Very rare that a field goal or placement holder, John, wears gloves, but Paul McDonald's doing it today.
You got it.
Second down and 6 now for the Oakland Raiders. They're down in this game 9-7. They go to the run, and there's nothing there. Kenny King worked his way into that big fence in front of the Browns, but there was nothing for him there. And so with 5:38 to play on the clock running in the third quarter, the Raiders rehuddle. Third down coming up, 3rd and 4.
You know what's impressive to me is the way that the communication between quarterback and running back has not produced more fumbles than it has. Quarterbacks seem to have pretty good hold of the ball. Not predictable.
Third down and 4 for the Raiders. Plunkett looking long. Throws hard, makes the connection, but Raymond Chester coming back at the football. Might have not gotten the first down yardage. He had it where he caught it, but he came back.
This one depends on the spot. They did not give it to him where he caught the ball. They gave it to him where they deemed his forward progress stopped. He was trying to get away from a linebacker cutting underneath. Charlie Hall had none of it, brought him down after about a 3-yard gain. And it looks like we've got another penalty, too.
There is a penalty down where the offensive backfield of the Raiders aligned, and the ball is set back to the 24. Here's Ben Bryant.
Number 63.
Got Upshaw holding, the left guard. Art Shell and Gene Upshaw are going against a longtime adversary when he was with Denver, Lyle Alzado.
Don, I agree with the call. It would have been 4th down and 1 yard to go. They'd rather have it 3rd down and 14. It forces Oakland to throw the ball if they're trying to get a first down. Anything good could happen for either side.
3rd down and 15. Plunkett throwing long. Bob Chandler goes for the ball, but there's too much on it. And the Raiders will have to punt it back to Cleveland. Ron Bolton and Clarence Scott were on the coverage. But Chandler had room had the ball come down in his area.
Yeah, that's easy to say, but from where Plunkett was throwing it, he really didn't have him as open as it appeared he was. When Chandler comes out of his pattern, it looks like he could have put the ball over the top and hit him, but Ron Bolton, number 28, is standing right in front of him where there was very little room to throw it.
Ron Bolton has 2 interceptions today already, 1 for a touchdown. Cleveland's only touchdown of the game. He ran it back some 42 yards. Dino Hall is back now for punt return for Cleveland.
You'll notice everyone has a little different combination. Guys wearing 1 glove on, 1 glove off.
Hits the ball downfield. Dino Hall has been a sure-handed guy catching these punts. Turns to the outside. He's been a good returner. Dino Hall's in open field for a moment. He shot across midfield and came inside the 45-yard line of Oakland, down to the 44.
Ray Guy kept that one from going all the way, pal.
That's right. He came in and got him himself.
Well, you can see as it opens up how all the special team fellas are having so much trouble with their footing that if you get a wall formed, the guy's liable to go on forever. Guy makes the final play. They've got the ball with good field position.
This bud's for everyone who wraps it, stacks it, and...
Medium. The Oakland Raiders trailing the Cleveland Browns 9-7. 4:45 left to play in the third quarter. As wide to the left comes Dave Logan, and wide to the right goes Reggie Rucker for Cleveland. The Browns with a 2-point lead. 4:45 to play third quarter. First down for Cleveland. Brian Sipe throws over the middle. He's got Dave Logan open, and Logan has the ball inside the 25-yard line and down to the 23.
Don, you can just see it at the line of scrimmage sometimes. When Sipe was calling an audible, he called it because he was one-on-one with Osteen again. He heard Sipe coming to the audible. He was leaning over, specifically interested in hearing what he was saying. It's a pattern one-on-one. He's got all the time in the world to develop his pattern. When he does so, Sipe throws it well. I mean, both those cornerbacks are under an awful lot of pressure.
22-yard gain on the play.
We mentioned how much time they have. You take a look at this offensive line. They're holding their ground. DeLeon's trying to look for somebody to help out with.
Joe D blocking well. Back to live action now. Sipe time again. Now it ends. And Sipe doing very well to get rid of the ball before they got him.
You bet. I'll tell you why it wasn't called intentional grounding. It's because the official, Bendrife, was trying to protect Brian Sipe. He saw Matusik had a hold of him. He wanted to see if anything went on. So he really didn't see the ball go down the field. Since he didn't see it, you don't call it.
There's the defensive coordinator for Cleveland, Marty Schottenheimer. Brian Sipe is 31 years old, 6'1", 195 pounds, from San Diego State.
Here come the pass rushers. Cedric Hardman, Willie Jones.
Yep, the pass rushers are in for Oakland. Cedric Hardman, number 86, set to the right. Willie Jones, set to the left. Second down and 10 for the Cleveland Browns. Here he goes to the draw play. Sipe throws. Almost intercepted.
Look out.
Penalty markers come in. 3 of them.
Osteen knew he was in a problem. He was trying to get over to Logan before the ball got there. He didn't know that Sipe was having a problem. He was trying to catch up with his man. The ball never got in the area, but he was all over the top of Logan.
It'll give the Browns a 1st and goal just inside their 10-yard line.
You know what's so tough from an Oakland standpoint is they've hit opposing quarterbacks something like 54 or 55 times throughout the year. And they have with a great pass rush that has come right up the middle, which allows those 2 outside pass rushers to get to the quarterback. Well, today, the 2 fellas up the middle, Matusik, Kinlaw, Browning, these fellas can't get enough penetration to force Sipe into a problem.
Offside, decline a penalty. Also, defense pass interference, accepted. First down.
Very gratefully accepted.
All right, we mentioned Osteen doesn't know where the ball is. He's trying to get to Logan any way he can. He knows he's in a hurry-up situation, trying to get to the ball. That's interference, folks.
That was well illustrated on the replay. Our producer today for NBC, George Finkel, our director, Ken Fouts, as the Cleveland Browns have the ball 1st and goal. 10-yard line. Browns leading 9-7. Here's Greg Pruitt. To the outside, he eluded Ed Hendricks, then went out of bounds. Then about the 8.
He eluded Hendricks, Donnie, but I tell you, they made the play because Hendricks forced him wide.
Mike Davis finally ran him out. 3rd quarter clock, 3:40 to play in it. Oakland led at halftime 7-6.
This is a big drive as far as Cleveland's concerned. They've had the best of it throughout the ball game except for one drive that Oakland put together. If they don't score here, they've still kept Oakland within a touchdown. Now, momentum has a way of shifting throughout the course of an afternoon. They've got the wind at their backs right now. They've got to capitalize.
Right now, they have it 2nd and goal at the 8-yard line, almost the 7.
Rutgers man-to-man again out here on the corner. Fumble.
A fumble it was, and Brian Sipe, he'll dive into that buzzsaw every time looking for the loose ball. Might have come back up with it. If he didn't, Joe DeLamielleure did.
I think Sipe did get it because he had pretty good footing. When he lost it, you'll see he just got the ball touched. It looked like Hendricks was going backwards, touched him with his long arm. Sipe did a great job to get to it along with DeLamielleure. A lot of contact in that area.
Come out of those deals with a separated shoulder very easily. There's the array of footwear. They've been trying everything possible on a frozen field here in Cleveland. Whatever they're working with now, it's going a lot better because people are running their routes well. And Brian Sipe and the Cleveland Browns now have a 3rd down and goal from the 12-yard line. Sipe looks, he throws. Logan had it and lost it. Double team coverage on Dave Logan. Burgess Owen, the free safety, and Dwayne Osteen.
Burgess Owens has had his work full, too. He's trying to cover the middle. And when you're a free safety without any footing, we see Logan beats Osteen inside, okay? Osteen's trying to recover. That's Burgess Owens who's slipping and sliding all over in the end zone. That could have been a touchdown except for pretty good recovery.
That's ice down at that end. And that's what they fell on, and hard.
We've had 2 players go into the locker room with concussions because of the fall when they hit the ground. It looks like that's what happened to Osteen on that play.
Don Cockcroft. See what he was like in the regular season. No problem for the most part between 30 and 39 yards, but there's been one today. He does have a 30-yarder to his credit. It's been the difference in this game as the Cleveland Browns have come from behind, and they lead it 9-7. And the winner of this game, of course, will go to San Diego next Sunday to play the San Diego Chargers in the American Football Conference Championship game. Start time on NBC is at 4:30 with NFL 80. Dwayne Osteen goes off the playing field. The Raider pass secondary really improved when Dwayne Osteen took the starter job from Monty Jackson. Osteen is a 3rd-year player from San Jose State. Cockcroft setting up for another 30-yard try. You recall the last attempt, the hold didn't work. Paul McDonald had a run with the ball. Got it up. Got it through. And the Browns extend their lead to 12-7.
Very good hold, I'll tell you. We saw McDonald come in with 2 gloves. Some are playing with 1. He gets total control of the ball. We'd say, hey, anybody can suck it up and play without gloves. If you're only in once in a while, he feels he's got a better edge wearing them. It went through 12-7.
Where in the world are we? Now, what's this place?
Welcome to the last place on earth.
Look at all this.
Dear?
Like my boutique. Cute.
Yeah, we just have traveler's checks.
Citicorp?
Yes.
Love them.
Imagine Citicorp travelers checks are even accepted in the last place on earth.
Our lucky day.
Travel the world with us. Citicorp traveler's checks.
When high interest rates keep America from buying the fuel-efficient cars it needs, it's time to do something about it. Starting now, when you buy a new U.S.-built 81 Chrysler, Plymouth, or Dodge passenger car on credit, you can deduct 7% from the sticker price, including options, because we think the interest rates are 7% too high. That number will move up or down depending on a significant change in the prime interest rate.
Make your best deal, then get $380 to $1,200 direct from Chrysler.
We'll help you buy the car you want. Sam Ratigliano's Cleveland Browns have opened up a 12-7 lead after they trailed by a point at the half, 7-6. We have a long way to go, though. 2:40 left to play in the 3rd quarter. As the Cleveland Browns had the ball teed up, Don Cockcroft now with 2 30-yard field goals in this game. And back deep to receive his kickoff. Keith Moody and Arthur Whittington.
And not too deep.
No,
I'll tell you. They've been getting that ball out to the 40, and that's when things haven't broken. If they break, they could go a long way.
A high spinning kick, not too deep. Keith Moody to the 25-yard line, to the 30, and Keith Moody comes out to the 34-yard line. There the Raiders will go on offense, 1st and 10. McDonald Oden came down to make the play on special teams for Cleveland.
Let's keep in mind, Don, the Browns have really controlled the football offensively as far as this game's gone. It's still leaving the Raiders within 5 points. In 3 minutes, little less than 3 minutes, as we're getting down to the end of the 3rd quarter, they reverse ends, and the wind is going with the offense.
Less than 2,000 no-shows at today's game. Jim Plunkett takes a look, throws, and it's almost taken in by Cliff Branch, coming back at the ball, but he lost it. Branch was running the deep patterns earlier. Now he's been going out 20 yards a lot of times and coming back at the ball.
Sure, he ran deep, and then he came back at the ball, Don, but it's so hard to run that type of pattern. You see Ambrose is getting way back in the area. Branch is trying to come all the way back to make a fine reception for an 8-yard gain. But remember, when Ambrose is that deep, if you just lay it off to a back, he can pick up the same yardage.
Jim Plunkett has thrown 22 times, has completed 8 for 75 yards. And intercepted twice, and he fumbled once, dropping the pass. Kenny King was way downfield for the Oakland Raiders. Clinton Burrell was the closest to the ball when it came in on the 1 hop. And so the 3rd quarter clock now is stopped with 2:14 to play. And the Browns in the lead 12-7. Last time they played, last December of 79, a year ago December. Oakland won that game 19-14. Tom Flores has 2 Super Bowl rings. He got one as a backup quarterback with Kansas City in Super Bowl IV, and also an assistant coach with the Raiders when they won it in '76.
And it may not be this year, but down the line he'll have one in Oakland.
3rd down and 10 now for Plunkett and the Raiders. Big rush. Plunkett stands in, goes out of the pocket. He didn't like to run with 3 knee operations behind him, but he did well. Got ahead across the 40-yard line, but was short of a 1st down by about 3. Charlie Hall ran him out.
Okay, Jim Plunkett is excellent moving around back in the pocket. I think that's what he does about as well as anybody. When he is in back here, he's trying to find a little bit of time so that he can fire the ball down the field. Now he comes up, he makes his move out to the side. When he stutters here, he's giving himself He's given no edge to himself. He had a chance to pick it up. He comes out about a yard short, and Oakland's going to punt it on 4th down.
Dino Hall has done a big job running the ball back. Jim Plunkett, the College Player of the Year in 1970 when he won the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, quarterback Stanford to the upset of Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, was the #1 player drafted in the league by New England, and threw 19 touchdown passes as a rookie, and a series of injuries and a series of new teams after the trade to San Francisco. Ray Guy steps into the ball and hits it hard. Dino Hall loses the handle, picks it up, and gets to the 23. Dino Hall has been a very effective Cleveland player today, returning punts. Now the Browns come out with 1:53 to play in the 3rd quarter. Ty Babylonia and Randy Gardner compete again. They'll be joined by Peggy Fleming, Linda Fradiani, and Dorothy Hamill in the first World Professional Figure Skating Championship, starting Saturday, January 18th on NBC Sports World. Plus the hilarious antics and basketball wizardry of Meadowlark Lemon and the Bucketeers, all on the season premiere of NBC Sports World, January 18th. That's a heated bench. These were hauled in from Philadelphia. The Eagles were using them yesterday.
Still not warm enough.
No empty spaces on that hot bench, though, either side. Those seats are at a premium. Handoff goes up the middle. Ball taken to the 26-yard line by Mike Pruitt. And a marker is down. There's been very few of those, really, though, John.
Well, that was obvious. That was motion on the ball carrier. He got started just a little bit before the snap of the ball. I'm amazed that there have been as few penalties as there have been called, Don, because you can do anything wrong and not even know why out here today.
Mike Pruitt caught standing on start and rocket on go with 1:44 left to play in the 3rd quarter. A penalty is assessed against the Cleveland Browns. The ball is set back to the 21-yard line. The Browns were the most penalized team in the NFL.
43 on the offense.
That is the first penalty of this day on Cleveland, though. Greg Pruitt and Mike Pruitt are the offensive backs for Cleveland. There you go, John.
It's awful nice. I think Sipe's the guy.
Sipe has been the guy this year and this day so far for Cleveland. Browns leading the game 9-7. Greg Pruitt turns the corner, gets out of bounds across the 25-yard line. 12-7 for that last 30-yard field goal. 1:39 left to play. Browns down at the half, 7-6. They initially took the lead 6-0 on a 42-yard interception return by Ron Bolton. And then the Raiders drove 64 yards. Van Eeghen on the payoff end, and the extra point was good, 7-6. Then the Cleveland Browns and a pair of 30-yard field goals in the second half by Don Cockcroft have opened up a 12-7 lead. But a long way to go in this one.
All right, we've got Feature out here on the wide side again, man-to-man with Osteen. Burgess Owens tries to help some, but I think it's a blitz.
Hardman's in, so's Willie Jones. The pass rushers pinching from the corner. They go to the power sweep, and Greg Pruitt comes across the 25-yard line on 2nd down and 9. Got about 3. Mike Pruitt led the blocking.
It was a blitz, Don, and you couldn't have a worse run called against a blitz situation. You've got everybody up at the line of scrimmage. They're stretching everything out wide. There's no holes open up. You can see they picked up 2 or 3 yards.
All out now to the 28-yard line. 3rd down and 5 coming up for Cleveland.
Whoops.
Free ball. They don't even know it's on the ground.
And I think the Browns got back possession of it.
Big tackle there, blocking. Doug Deacon didn't know that he had the ball right behind him, was kicking it.
If he spends any time looking around for that ball, the man on defense will find it and get to it before he does. Mike Davis sees the ball but can't get to it because he can't get through Deacon's leg to get a piece of the ball. Sipe finally comes up with it, and that was just a heads-up play to save a turnover. As I mentioned, it's not even easy passing the ball from center to quarterback. That's the third bobble, all on the Cleveland side.
And that certainly illustrated how difficult it is, as the Browns do very well to get it back, but now they'll be punting, and the Raiders can come out of this with very good field position. Johnny Evans standing and hitting the ball at his 9. Gets an end-over-end punt downfield, but it takes a big, big roll. Look at this roll all the way down inside the 25-yard line. And it's not done yet. And the Browns will let it roll all the way down to the 20.
Okay, we discussed the importance of the kicking game.
61 yards.
Just the misplay of a short kick, which would have given the ball somewhere around the original line of scrimmage, the 30, 35-yard line, their own. Gets them back to their own 20. That's a 45-yard miscue. He couldn't make the play. He was a little bit too deep on the punt. Went end over end. Cleveland got a break, and they forced Oakland into a hole.
61 yards, his longest punt of the year, with 3 seconds left to play in the third quarter. So the Raiders come out the ball right at their 20. When it looked like they get good field position, they now are 80 yards in the Cleveland end zone. Dave Dalby gives the snap to Plunkett, who looks and throws to Kenny King. Going outside, Clay Matthews gets him. You don't go wide in these Browns, or not very often. Their linebackers can run.
It's about the only way you can go wide, though, Don, is throw a little quick screen, throw something to get the ball in a pass play to one of your backs. Hope he can find a hole as we end the third quarter.
The score is Cleveland 12, Oakland 7. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Nothing moving on the waterfront of Lake Erie today. But there's plenty going on in one of the famed ball yards in the National Football League, Cleveland Stadium. The chill factor 30 degrees below zero. This is Don Criqui with John Brody as we're ready now for the start of the fourth quarter. Jim Plunkett and the Raiders with a long way to go. They have second down and 11 from their 19-yard line, and Cleveland is in the lead 12-7. Hand off to Kenny King. Fighting and working hard. Kenny King comes across the 25-yard line to the 26. A group all of us are very proud of is the technical crew here from NBC. You think it's tough to play football in this.
That was Ken Harvey down there. You think he's cold, but he's sucking it up. I don't even see a bonnet on his head.
He has no bonnet on, but to stand in the cold for about 4 hours manning this highly sophisticated technical equipment has done a fantastic job. A lot of people appreciate it. Third down and 4 now for Plunkett and the Raiders. Look at that, underhand he goes to Mark Van Eeghen. He's got a first down and more as Jim Plunkett gets innovative, shuffles the ball underhand to Mark Van Eeghen, and the end result is a first down out to the 39-yard line.
I tell you, innovative is underestimating it because he was looking for survival. He's waiting for somebody to get open downfield. Van Eeghen uses his head, slides off the block, puts himself in a situation where he can pick up the first down by eluding one linebacker. He does, and it's 1st and 10 Oakland. All right, look at Lyle Alzado mentioned how tough it is against Art Shell. They're trying to play games, anything to get in on the passer, to no avail.
13-yard gain on that pass play. Now on first down, Plunkett throws, and Branch comes down with the ball. And now the Raiders have crossed midfield. And in the cold of Cleveland, they're down to the 42-yard line with 13:28 to play.
Again, now he throws it underneath. Branch has been double-teamed most of the day. They've been rolling in a zone to his side. This time he eludes the first man up on the roll, gets in between the linebackers. You let Cliff Branch get in between linebackers, and he can operate. Good throw by Plunkett.
That was good for 19 yards, John. Is one of the fastest players in football, Cliff Branch, a 9-100 man out of Colorado, and he hasn't lost a step in his 9 seasons in the NFL. Gets the big gainer for the Oakland Raiders. Handoff, Kenny King, not much there. Hard hit. Robert L. Jackson, who's a fiery guy, jumping up and down. He was in to make a hit along with Lyle Alzado. There was no gain on the play. 2nd and 10.
Not only is he fiery, he's excellent against the run. Both those inside linebackers, Ambrose and Robert L. Jackson, just play that run and make it like it's a 5-man line in there. You'd assume they'd be a little concerned about the throw, get back in their drop, but they haven't.
2nd down and 10 for the Raiders. They're trailing 12-7 in the fourth quarter. Plunkett guns it long. Raymond Chester catches the ball all the way down at the 16-yard line.
That's a great catch, Don. That's the best catch we've seen all day long. Chester caught one earlier where Darden was all over the top of him, as he was this time, but he didn't have to turn his body around and catch the ball in his hands. We mentioned the receivers have become a little bit more accustomed to it, but this is just a great catch. Well thrown ball, but a great catch.
So tough in this cold weather as Raymond Chester goes up high and comes down with a 27-yard gainer. And now the Raiders are challenging.